Welcome, everyone. This is your friend, the DN What If, here with another exciting fanfiction. Today, we're diving into the story of What If Deku Became the Lost Kamen Rider? If you enjoy this video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more fanfiction content just like this. Now, let's get started with the fanfic. Izuku Midoriya had been many things since the day his mom, Inko, brought him and his sister into the world. He was a foodie, thanks to her magical ability to transform even the simplest home-cooked meals into spectacular feasts that danced on his tongue. He was a dreamer, encouraged by her playful permission to mimic his idol, All Might, striking heroic poses in their tiny living room. A beloved older by 1-minute brother who kept his active and somewhat mischievous sister Neon, disciplined and loved at night, she regaled the both of them with hilarious bedtime tales, stories of daring rescues and laughing heroes, before tucking the duo in with a kiss. Izuku never asked for much in life, except perhaps one burning ambition, to become a famous hero someday, a name whispered with awe across the world. Not because he became the strongest out of all, but because they knew that when he is around, everyone can take a deep breath and stay calm, even in the face of absolute danger. Now, at 6 years old, he marked his second year since a life-altering event. It had started innocently enough. A routine visit to the quirk doctor with Inko, a checkup to explore what sort of power he and his sister might have attained in a world brimming with a colorful amount of it. But before they could even meet the doctor, chaos erupted. A hulking van screeched to a halt, its doors flinging open. Men in dark uniforms spilled out, wielding stun grenades and quirks that crackled with menace. Sleeping gas bullets, blunt-tipped to avoid lethal harm but effective in their intent, hissed through the air, dropping Inko and Neon to their knees with a gasp. Izuku's small hands reached for his mother and sister, but an energy net with some surprising amount of lethargy-enduring smell or perfume applied to it ensnared him, and the world faded to black as he was dragged into the van. Little Aizu wasn't naive. As a devoted All Might fan, he devoured every report, media headlines, eyewitness accounts, even the gritty details of villain abductions. He knew the world had its shadows, its dangers lurking beyond the hero's spotlight. But he never imagined he'd become an innocent caught in such a nightmare. Bound with coarse ropes in the van's dim interior, he fought back with all his might. He bit at the restraints, his teeth aching against unyielding fibers. He scrabbled for a sharp rock he spotted rolling on the floor, desperate to saw through, but the ropes held firm. Escape attempts followed, clawing, kicking, twisting, each met with black eyes, broken bones, and a pain so relentless it seared into his soul. Even his worst enemies, he thought through the haze which had become an unintentional companion, didn't deserve this agony. Exhausted after so many failed attempts at escaping, Izuku shifted had no choice but to switch tactics. He stopped struggling and began to wait, biding his time. In the darkness, he prayed, to any god, to any hero who might hear, pleading for rescue. What he didn't know was that change was coming, though not in the way he'd hoped. The van rumbled on, carrying him deeper into a fate that would redefine him, becoming a prototype which was forged in the eerie shadows of an evil presence since the time of quirks arrived, but he would revive the name of a legend long since forgotten, only somewhat remembered by older citizens, grandparents and parents of an older generation. It's a name worn by many but always remembered for their valiant efforts, whether it's in protection of people or eradication of them. A certain company might start capitalizing on this revival of its forgotten IP, and families related, affected or involved to this name would hanker and scramble to try and advise this injured young man, maybe for their own benefits and maybe to honor their beloved ancestors. This right here is the beginning of a new hero, rebirth of the name of humankind's greatest defenders and heroes. Rejoice! For this is the story of Kamen Rider Deku. On Coming Fist, most of you have read the harrowing tale of our once innocent, now prematurely matured little Aizu. As your narrator, I hope you'll stay on this journey, for you're about to witness the slow, steady but painful transformation of a boy into a symbol of hope, love, and peace. Back to our story. Izuku awoke to a brutal reminder of his victimhood, a gut punch followed by a 1-2 combo to his face from the grunts. The sharp sting yanked him from what he'd hoped was a fleeting, terrible nightmare. Blinking through the haze of pain, he found himself still trapped, the cold reality sinking in deeper than before. Then, the leader of this crew stood, his presence commanding the dim room. You might be surprised by who this man is, his identity a twist yet to unfold. He approached Izuku with a straightforwardness that cut like a blade. "I am many things, little man," he began, his voice rough with experience. "I've hurt families, hunted the vilest enemies for profit or to make a statement. Today, you're an easy opportunity to earn some cash. This man I'm handing you to? Rumored to be a devil existing since who knows when. Someone even my crew wouldn't dare cross. Long story short, you go to him and I get rent for the next few days. Hope you enjoy it." With those final, chilling words, he nodded to his men, and a blow to Izuku's head sent him back into darkness. When he came to, the sight that greeted him was a jail cell of sorts, his small frame bound to a tube-like structure. If he'd been in a joking mood, he might have quipped that this was the origin story of another hero born from experimentation, ironically fitting, wasn't it? Soon, a doctor entered, his appearance as unsettling as his purpose. Bald, with a bushy mustache and oversized glasses that masked the evil lurking in his eyes, a hedgehog might have yelled, "Mr. Egghead," at him. This was one reference he was willing to spill out of his mouth if he'd been in a different mood. Instead, the doctor killed the silence and spoke with eerie calm. "We shall now commence our project to aid our leader's goals. File it under the project name, Nomu Generation." And with that, the gates of hell swung open. The pain was excruciating, quirks overloaded into his body, threatening to rip him apart limb from limb, perhaps even his soul. He was thrown into environments of skin-searing heat or bone-numbing cold, each trial a test of survival. Most others caught in such torment might have given up, begging forgiveness for crimes they'd inevitably commit. But not our rider Boi, Izuku. He was built different. His curious gaze, once wide with wonder, now carried the weight of maturity, a resilience forged in suffering. Through it all, one thought anchored him, the desperate longing to return to his mom and sister, to hug them as if tomorrow might never come, and to make them proud by becoming a good, decent hero alongside his sibling. This was just year one of his torturous life, and the next year would prove even worse. In the rare moments he was allowed to sit in his cell, Izuku noticed changes. He was growing stronger, smarter. Abilities far beyond what kids his age should endure. This thought stirred memories of his lost friendships with Aunt Mitsuki and Uncle Masaru's children, the ever-cocky, fiery Katsuki Bakugo and his sister, Tsukuyami, occasionally hot-headed but generally calm. He'd just begun to feel comfortable with them before this nightmare tore it all away. Speaking of being torn apart, Izuku realized he must possess multiple passive quirks. His vision sharpened beyond normal limits, his strength surpassed that of any child, and despite irregular meals, he had more than enough energy to press on. With this in mind, he devised a small plan to punch the walls of his imprisonment, his cell, in simple terms. The walls, though well-crafted, showed faint cracks under his repeated strikes. If he kept at it, they might cave in, offering a chance to escape and return to his waiting mother, sister, and family. So, every day after the grueling experimentation trials, he punched each blow feeling stronger than the last, a rhythm of hope against despair. This was how life went, one punch at a time, one thought of longing for his family fueling his resolve. But the worst was yet to come. Welcome back, everyone. I, your narrator, am borrowing this introduction style from Mr. Tassel or Victor, as some know him from Kamen Rider Saber, to guide you onward in this story. You're aware that our protagonist, 7-year-old Aizu, has endured quirk-based experimentation, gaining enhanced vision, brain power, strength, regeneration, and other powers. Yet what remains is the next painful step, the addition of cyborg enhancements. Sadly, our beloved hero must suffer this torment a little longer, overseen by a doctor and a certain famous scientist on his 8th birthday. We find him now in his unfortunate place of belonging, his jail cell. Relentless boredom and the occasional phantom pains from past experiments have reshaped the mind of a once budding hero. His drive to become one still burns, so don't worry, but a sarcastic edge has begun to sharpen his spirit. One guard, tossing him a packet of optimized food, muttered under his breath about how a fine person like himself was forced to feed this waste of a human being. Forgetting that before evolution humanity was divided only by country, state, net worth, or religion. And it is unfortunate that some will always cling to such prejudices. He glared at Izuku. The boy's reply was curt and cutting. Call yourself as strong as you want, but you're not the one enduring my pain every day. Count your lucky stars, because I'd bet every non-existent yen I have that you'd cry for your mom and dad under this. The guard considered silencing him, his hand twitching toward a weapon, but a sudden chill settled near his chair. In an instant, he vanished. Izuku never saw him again, a mystery left hanging in the air. Now, sitting in his cell, Izuku could hear the faint whirring of circuitry and wires as he meditated, preparing for his daily wall-destroying routine. He barely remembered the procedure that led to this, retaining only one vivid detail: a man with square glasses, brown hair, and a goatee pleading, "Please, don't perform such outrageous changes on someone so innocent and young, before being overruled with a cold. You have no leverage here." Izuku didn't thank many people in life, but if there was one he might, it would be this kind scientist. He hadn't met him yet, but when he did, a firm handshake and a probably tearful hug might be the gift he'd offer in return. He'd noticed changes. His movements were quicker, his reaction speeds sharper, and a custom HUD now overlaid his vision, some of the most honest-to-goodness high-end tech embedded in his sight. He began to wonder who he was meant to become, especially with nanites coursing through him, powering the electronics within. Yet, he felt empty, as if attaining something. Freedom, perhaps, might make him whole again. The more emotional side of him yearned for it to be reuniting with his family and friends. Another, darker part speculated that further experimentation might fill this newly formed void. Night turned to day, and Izuku was roused at what he presumed was 5 a.m. A panicked-looking doctor and a kind-hearted scientist forcibly dragged him to the tube-like structure where most of his experiments occurred. The mustached doctor, voice tense, said, "I thought we had more time to mind-wipe and mold him into our most elite soldier, but we must accelerate. My master grows impatient, and we need a large amount as well as much better-looking results." The scientist, David Shield, countered, "Adding the reactor core without any testing procedures will definitely slim his chances of becoming what you want him to end up becoming, even more than the narrow line of failure we've been treading, Dr. Garaki." "Ah, my horrible doctor has a name," Izuku quipped sarcastically. "I was workshopping many options like Baldy, Mr. Mustachio, or Evil Scientist number 555. Garaki's glare sharpened. "Shield, you've been a nuisance since we dragged you here. The more you talk, the higher the odds your only family member disappears forever." That made the named scientist, David Shield, quiet down once more. Holy hell, Izuku thought, his mind racing. All Might's legendary scientist friend and costume creator has been roped into experimenting and then turning me into an evil soldier of doom. He might be why I'm not fully broken yet and maybe my ticket out of this hell. Those were his last coherent thoughts before the procedure started. He screamed in pain, and due to this, he went mute once more, his memories now having this hazy and scrambled look to it. He then awoke to an ever-ticking sound in his heart, realizing he was no longer just human. Power surged within him, but he'd lost much of his past. Only vague images remained. Two girls, with one of them having similar green hair, a boy having the same hair as the girl. They must be related, an older uncle and aunt, and his mom, he believed. "I will escape and I will come home. Mom," he thought tearfully, returning to his wall-punching routine with newfound strength and vigor. I assure you, readers, he will gain the strength to do so. Hello again, my beloved readers. I, your narrator, have witnessed many wonders in life. Last time, I saw the courage that dwells in every heart through little Aizu. Now, he nears the end of this oppressive journey. Once more, he awoke, this time strapped into the test tube, a strange belt, and was that a flip phone? He wonders about the need of having such old-looking tech. Positioned near the poor boy. Now nearly 10 years old, he remained trapped, yearning to escape yet hesitating, wary of fail-safes the captors might have prepared. The past 3 years have gone by in a flash, and both him and David Shield have secretly communicated with each other, whether it's by sign language, secret codes, and more. They plan to escape soon. Well, Shield, I still wonder why this belt and flip phone of all things are needed to craft our soldier of despair. Explain some of it to me, Dr. Garaki demanded, his tone laced with curiosity. David Shield replied calmly, part of it draws from an old show my dad showed me, sentimentality, you might call it. The rest is practical. He gets an untraceable phone that can shoot or act as a sword, summon that bike you've been crafting, I believe it's called the Autovagin. And finally, it serves to 1. Induce fear when he transforms, 2. Unleash more of his abilities, like super speed, without killing him. That belt does look good, though, Izuku thought, wholeheartedly agreeing despite his dire circumstances. So, the last half of our experimentation remains, Dr. Garaki said coolly. After which, you'll be free to go. Shield was informed it would happen tomorrow, coincidentally, on young Izuku's 10th birthday. Though the routine felt normal, David felt a storm of emotions, sadness, anger, and the weight of finally reuniting with his daughter to confess his role in harming an innocent child caught in unnecessary wars with some stupid adult reasons to justify it. Like the scientist in that old show who eventually rebelled, David resolved to do the same. The next day dawned, the day humanity might face the beginning of its collective end under the quirk dictator All for One, enabling these vile experiments, or the rise of a hero continuing a legacy born due to a mind of a famous mangaka, which then enabled them to make a successful TV show, now brought to life. Izuku awoke, sensing the day of reckoning had arrived. The wall he'd been punching for months was close to breaking. One final strike could grant his freedom. But he vowed to take Mr. David with him, grateful for the scientist's efforts to preserve some of his memories. Two souls with surprisingly similar ideas converged under different pressures. Izuku poised for evil brainwashing, Shield determined to prevent it. A simple nod to each other was enough to convey their present emotions. So, let's begin the final experiment, shall we? Garaki screamed, his quirk of extended lifespan making him irritable after being cooped up in this facility for far too long. Electricity surged, screams tore from Izuku's throat, programs were uploaded with meticulous coding, and then came the waiting PRD. Garaki glared at David. I hope, for your sake, your programs and instructions were perfectly made, he said menacingly. David remained calm, didn't reply back to the menacingly evil doctor, patiently awaiting the outcome. The glass shattered with a resounding crash, steam billowed out, and Izuku unleashed a ruthless combo on Garaki, knocking him out cold. Thank you for the assist, Mr. Shield, Izuku said, his tone a mix of sarcasm, humor, and seriousness. I'd ask for your autograph, but now doesn't seem the right time, no? You'll get it sooner than later, kid. Now, follow me, Shield replied, his voice steady with the authority of a senior scientist. They hurried to the Autovagin, its sleeker design and hidden tools a testament to Shield's craftsmanship. It's time to go home, young man, he said in a tired and grave tone. I'm tired of everything I've been forced to do. I wholeheartedly apologize for hurting you. No need to call me young man, Mr. Shield. My name is Izuku Midoriya, he replied. It's because of you that I at least have some of my precious memories intact. Otherwise, the unpaid, stressful life of a mercenary or evil soldier was all I'd have gotten. How are you even talking like this right now, Izuku? Shield asked, baffled by the boy's mental fortitude. It's what helps me fight my trauma and pain, Izuku replied in a devastated tone before falling silent. Shield activated the bike's high-speed option, and they crashed through the oppressive lab before he located the wall made weak by Izuku's effort. They sped off, pursued by vans as they headed toward people David was able to contact and whom he knew that he could trust absolutely. And now, we shall see the thoughts of another side. Well, my readers, we've hit a unique point in my narration of the story. You've seen Izuku's side. Now, we'll explore his family's perspective. Don't worry, we'll return to where we left off soon. Toshinori Yagi is many things. He is the current symbol of peace, a man of unparalleled strength. He inspires people simply by his presence, his speeches, his ever-present smile, and so much more. He has saved countless lives, places, and even countries. He can be addressed by many titles. What he isn't, however, is a man of perfect health. After all, training for the final battle against the man who wields the quirk passed down through 7 generations of freedom fighters aimed at ridding the world of its creator definitely takes a toll on anyone who possesses it. Some lost their families, some lost themselves. For Toshinori, it was his mother-like figure, Nana Shimura, code-named Jetstream, or whatever she fancied to call herself depending on any day of the week. Visiting her grave, laying fresh flowers, and recounting his now constant and mundane life was his way of apologizing for not defeating All for One sooner, though Gran Torino might disagree. His left side ached quite frequently, a constant reminder of his past battle with that irritating nemesis of this quirk, but to him, it was a small price compared to being dead. That's why, according to Night Eye, samples of his blood and other tissues were stored in specialized banks so that even if he fell, he could still aid someone. Though they no longer spoke, Night Eye still chided him for this reckless dedication to helping people out. Toshinori recalled trying to contact his friend and brother-in-law but blood, David Shield, to see if Island could craft artificial organs and skin to aid his recovery. But after failing to reach him, he learned David had been kidnapped while returning there and had been missing ever since. Muttering an audible, "I'm sorry," into the air, hoping his friend might hear, All Might tensed and sought out his friend Naomasa and police chief Kenji Tsuragami for answers. "At the very least, we must rescue him from this predicament," he said after meeting them. An exhausted Naomasa, who'd been on the case for nearly 3 months, replied, "I agree, Toshi, but we must tread carefully. No satellite has pinpointed his location, though he hacked a computer there. We've been communicating via codes, not even simple messages." "Woof, I agree with him," Kenji Tsuragami added, equally tired. "We're close to finalizing a safe route where they shall escape their captors, woof, safely. However, an eventual meeting point is a necessity, woof. Is there anyone else besides him and whoever he's working for?" Toshinori asked, his voice shifting to the stern, angered tone of the symbol of peace, unnerving nearby officers but not affecting his close allies. "A young boy about 10 years old, named Izuku Midoriya, has been relentlessly experimented on," Naomasa said. "He's with a doctor whose name David can't reveal due to suppressors in the lab. They're contemplating escape. It's all a waiting game now." Toshinori stared, stunned. "Wait, did you say Midoriya is his surname?" An impatient All Might pressed. "Yes, woof, why this mention?" Kenji asked. "He's the son of the wonderful woman I married," Toshinori replied gravely. The police duo, having been part of their friend's wedding as well as people still investigating his wife's missing son's case, unveiled a covered file. All Might stepped aside to make a call of hope, before helping the detective and police chief in rallying all units to end this nearly 6-year case at last. Hello again, everyone. This story has reached its midpoint while we head to the endgame for our first arc, the Rider's origin. Today, you'll witness how the family and friends of our beloved Rider react to the scar-healing news of Izuku's rescue. Don't worry, we'll return to the action soon. Inko Yagi, née Midoriya, has rediscovered happiness since meeting Toshinori Yagi, All Might to the world. A man of wonder, endearing clumsiness, emotional wounds, and unshakable mental strength. Yet at times, this joy feels cruel to her, a fragile balm over deep, almost never-ending pain. Her beloved daughter, Neon, carries mischievous tendencies but harbors a constantly sad heart, much like her mother. The same echoes in her friend Mitsuki, her husband Masaru, and their children, Tsukuyami and Katsuki. The latter, though, is veering toward devastating egoism, adopting bullying tendencies and frequent aggression. But they are still young. The changes anyone their age can undergo are tremendous. Still, the pain, that hollow-hearted ache, never fully leaves Inko. She wakes in cold sweats at times due to her nightmares, tears streaming as she imagines Izuku's constant suffering. Only Toshinori's and Neon's steady help and determination lull her back to sleep at times. Later, her promise to stay strong is something she chooses to continuously keep practicing. That's what all mothers do, and she will wield this beautiful power with grace. The call, however, totally shatters her resolve. Toshinori's usual mix of seriousness and goofy charm, that's something she's grown accustomed to over their 3 years together, has gone, replaced by absolute judgment. "I promised you, Inko, I'd stand by you through thick and thin," he says, his voice firm. "Today, I promise our family will be whole and you'll never need to shed tears of absolute despair again." She replies calmly, "You don't need to promise me. I know you will. My lovely Katsudon has a certain someone's name waiting for it. Complete this and come home safe, symbol of peace." Her tone, uniquely hers, pierces through his armor of invulnerability, leaving him blushing and steaming beneath it. Satisfied, she turns to the room, where others wait for the news. Neon scratches her head furiously, Katsuki taps his foot like his mother, and Tsukuyomi takes deep breaths like her father while pacing the living room all of them are sitting in. "Every child inherits something from their parents," Inko muses, "but it's up to us to ensure they use it to become greater than any generation before." This motto, scribbled in every school where she's taught, has kept her grounded at her Midoriya charm and genuine care for students, making her a symbol of what a teacher should be, a coping mechanism to dull her pain. Today, it all ends for good. "Well, Mom, what's the news?" Neon asks impatiently. "Yeah, Auntie Inko, you look happy, but this much is seriously rare." The twins chime in almost simultaneously. "I guess the news about Izuku's disappearance is finally settled," Masaru says quietly, his observant nature cutting through the tension and excitement. "For the first time in ages, my efforts to reunite my family have succeeded," Inko begins, her smile breaking after so long. "My baby boy has been found, and they're staging an operation to bring him back from." Her voice falters, partly scared and partly in a joking manner. "I'll take a guess, you dramatic queen of theater," Mitsuki snaps, used to seeing her best friend being a nice little theater kid and rage-baiting queen, getting equally irate and impatient like her children. "He was kidnapped by some terrible group for experimentation, right? And he and the scientist who worked on him finally escaped." Inko regains her composure quickly and calmly says, "Though Toshi didn't say much, I guessed the same." Neon and Tsukuyomi burst into tears. Izuku, their beloved brother and cousin, had left a void with his wisdom and quirky methods that brightened dreary moments. For Katsuki, sliding down a slope of no return, his thoughts swirled. Would Izuku return as the shy yet confident boy of old, who promised to be a hero with him, or as something unrecognizable? Still, he was glad Auntie Inko and Uncle Yagi would finally be whole again, alongside Neon. Readers of this story, Izuku has very nearly reached his goals alongside Mr. David Shield, the scientist extraordinaire. Let's check in on them, shall we? Right now, the duo rests near a serene lake, having evaded several vans and taken a few down, reducing their pursuers from 10 squads of 4 or more to just 5 with the same numbers. Their odds look promising if I say so myself. Izuku tends the fire, keeping it alive, while David does his best to cook the fish they caught together. Both eat this simple yet unexpectedly lovely meal in peace before the first conversation rolls around. "Did you ever expect to end up in a situation like this, Mr. Shield?" asks a curious Izuku. His sarcastic edge is present, but with no enemies to battle or irritate, he feels a rare moment of peace. "I'm a scientist, I expect the occasional kidnapping with heroes involved," David replies, taking a bite of their cooked fish. "But experimenting beyond what's possible, ignoring every rule against human experimentation just to survive? That's something I never want to repeat, kid. We still have a long way to go, about 100 kilometers before our backup arrives while we reach our destination." Izuku says, not wanting to remember the bad times before calculating the distance with his growing brain power, custom HUD, and enhanced circuitry. "You don't need to calculate that, Izuku," David urges. "You're a child and need sleep right now. Let me handle these matters." "I suppose hitting the hay early will help in the long run, Dr. David," Izuku concedes. Both drift into sleep, plagued by occasional nightmares, yet their wills remain strong. Their desires, though varied yet similar, drive them. One yearns to reunite with his daughter and return home safely, the other to end his pain, reclaim old bonds, and finally live. Meanwhile, All Might, Naomasa, Kenji Tsuragami, and heroes like Endeavor, Mirko, and other notable names and mid-table names travel toward the proposed rendezvous point, still a few kilometers away. I knew you married All Might, but a missing son? That's a fact I wouldn't have believed, Mirko says, her battle-hungry nature tempered by a desire for a safe rescue. Her confusion, though, is genuine. I aim to protect as many as I can. My family is part of that ever-growing list, All Might replies, his tone cool yet energetic. We've brought enough police, ammunition, and experienced heroes to win this fight, but I won't take any risks, Endeavor adds, his voice firm. He didn't wish to have his rival here, but toleration is a skill very few truly possess. Everyone nods in agreement with his words. What will you tell him when he learns you're his dad? Naomasa teases, prompting genuine laughter from the heroes in the vehicle. Eventually, All Might smiles, not his usual public grin, but the warm, heartfelt one reserved for happier emotions. My wife says he's my biggest fan, even more than the superfans across countries, All Might muses. I just hope he can finally embrace the love and peace all of us are waiting to deliver to him. Some heroes adopt a fanboy fangirl like awe. After all, this is the very essence of the symbol of peace. Woof, everyone, we're nearing the rendezvous point soon, Kenji Tsuragami barks. Get as much rest or sleep, for after this, we'll end a very long case, woof. Meanwhile, Dr. Garaki has awakened after some further medical treatments and confers with his leader, All for One himself. Sigh, his escape with David was something I didn't fully predict, the near-immortal villain of Quirk says calmly. But that's the tenacity of certain individuals, wouldn't you say, Doctor? Unfortunately, yes, leader, Garaki replies. I didn't anticipate what those two scheming minds could achieve without communication. Still, the data we've gained is considerable and will aid your future plans. The boy isn't a Nomu, let's be clear, All for One states, reflecting on a certain TV show he once watched. Most Nomu are controlled by commands, with limited individualism under my dominion. He's what we'll call an Orphnok, an evolved human, perhaps, but not the one we want. Maybe you and David share something in common, Garaki grumbles, irritated. He even crafted some flip phone weapon, I'm not sure if it's useful. All for One falls silent, pondering where the next few years might lead, thanks to his interference and experiments. Welcome back, readers. I've been narrating this story for nearly 8 chapters now. That's amazing. Let me assure you, there's even more to come. While All for One pondered whether his experiments might backfire in the long run, his gaze shifted to his second secret weapon. That annoying flying pest, Shimura, is dead, as is her family save for her grandson, Tenko, whom he dismantled piece by piece. First, he awakened the wrong quirk, ending Tenko's family with a sweep, ensuring no help came, then systematically shattered his mind. Though All for One desires Tenko's body for himself, he wouldn't mind a successful successor with a similarly destructive yet distinct mindset. He'll wait to see how Tamura Shigaraki chooses to decay himself or the world. On the hero's side, they've encountered surprising resistance from the vans chasing their targets. Yet, try as these grunts might, they face Japan's top heroes, a title earned for more than just laughs. Mirko dominates with hand-to-hand combat, more like leg-to-hand, her bone-breaking kicks felling opponents very swiftly. Endeavor's controlled shots of flame restrain groups in large numbers. Rings of fire aren't named lightly. Even lower-ranked heroes contribute, taking down enemies in teams, shielding police from gunfire, and tending to the injured. Then there's the star, All Might himself. Even past his prime, it takes much to knock him down permanently. Quick Detroit smashes subdue swathes of enemies, while shoulder tackles, chops, and uppercuts. Ordinary techniques for most become devastating with One for All's power. It takes an hour or two, given the sheer numbers, but the blockade finally crumbles. The heroes set up camp properly. Some join recon, scanning for villain movements. Others monitor radio stations and social media for clues. A few patrol this border-like, abandoned town, too remote for even villain hideouts. Others, like All Might, conserve energy, mindful of his time limit. He and Naomasa settle into chairs for a meaningful conversation. Those henchmen weren't tough, but they had something that shouldn't be possible, Toshi, Naomasa says, his tone heavy with concern. I'd love to call it coincidence, All Might replies gravely, but as Endeavor warned, we can't risk ignoring this. I'll contact Gran Torino and Nizu, maybe prepare for the worst while we are at it. What if Izuku was kidnapped by him? Naomasa wonders aloud. Maybe not intentionally, but with who we're dealing with, it could be part of an endless charade he loves to orchestrate. While you may be right with your statement, for today, I'll focus on saving whoever's in front of me now, All Might counters. Planning for the future is vital, but obsessing over it can kill anybody in a faster manner than a villain's attack. Let's tackle whatever we can right now. I suppose your opinion may be right, All Might, Naomasa concedes. I assume some vans and squads still chase them. We could isolate the pursuers, capture as many of them as we can for information and interrogation, then you and the other heroes can swoop in to finish this. I agree, All Might nods. Inform everyone, but also form complementary teams like Endeavor and Mirko, me and Best Jeanist. Or maybe we can ask everyone present. Let Kenji know about our plans so that he can arrange his squads appropriately, and let's be ready for both the better and the worst possible situations. Alright, I will, Naomasa affirms. With that, their talk ends, and the ending of this case ends soon. This ARC is upon us, readers. Hello, dear readers. I am your narrator, though I suppose it doesn't matter which name you choose to address me by. That's not important right now. We've seen the hero's side unfold, and now it's time for the other perspective. Their ride has been long, but if Izuku agrees on one thing, his life has changed irrevocably. He was once an ordinary boy eager to understand what his powers could have been, but that was stolen from him, not just his abilities, but his dreams, memories, and even the comfort of food, if you count that. When David had rushed to install the reactor core without proper procedure, having been rushed by Garaki's demand for quick results, Izuku lost a fair share of his memories. David connected his laptop to Izuku via the phone, a feat even he can't explain, but it only helped him to preserve some fragments of his memory. His name, his mother's name, what happened to him, while the forgotten name of the experimenting doctor was an issue that remained, despite his efforts to retain more. Finding some small victory in that for now, he'll take what he can. Is this going to help me in some way, Mr. Shield? Izuku asks after an ambush at a stop point, which is where David had tried another one of his failed attempts, whereas before, Izuku displayed a startling array of fighting skills which even surprised both the witnesses properly. I don't know if I can regain memories, but I surprisingly know how to fight and handle weapons easily. It's helped us so far. His quick jabs felled enemies that cornered them, followed by a capoeira-style takedown, then a Krav Maga and Judo combo on another group. Clean, efficient moves that left David reeling with the reminder of what he might have helped create. Don't give me that look, Mr. Shield, Izuku says, a little sarcastic, somewhat angry but definitely emotional at the very least. But kid, how many were hurt making you? Me, the people who lost their quirks, and who knows how many more? David counters, guilt heavy in his voice. Mr. Shield, I'll be honest, Izuku replies, his tone firm. In my nearly 3 years of captivity, I've endured much. I no longer have a dream, but I know others do possess them. My family and friends wanting to meet me, the heroes and police accompanying us striving to maintain peace. Somehow, someway, everyone gains a dream. While I can't apologize to those sacrificed or hurt to make me, I can protect and fight for them. That is something that might help in making me and many other people feel better. This fiery speech from the usually passive, sarcastic, and quiet Izuku stunned everyone present, the police squads and the scientist involved in his creation, David himself. Perhaps, he realizes, a new symbol to follow his friend All Might is emerging, ready to save not just the world but innocents forced into harm. He just might not create that device he has thought of that could maybe cause havoc in the future. And we know that the future hasn't been set as of yet. Look out, a police captain shouts as they were driving and conversing. I still have blood in my veins, and while I breathe in this air, I will fight for everyone who needs my help. Izuku declares calmly but with intent, before switching the SB-555D driver to burst mode. The weapon oddly announces its mode shift for some reason. Ignoring that, he blasts away, decimating a large number of enemies in record time. Meanwhile, 2 vans of goons arrive, attempting to crush them between the vehicles. Though David maneuvers the auto wagon skillfully, even this newly built bike has its limits with respect to its speed. He knows about that particular secret super speed switch, but it is a one-time use as of right now, so he tries to weave and create some distance between these vans to the best of his abilities, but their situation worsens rapidly. While both vans choose to crush the riders of the bike by crashing between them, blade mode is the last thing the squads end up hearing before Izuku stabs both tires, causing them to crash into each other and knock out their occupants. "Keep going, Mr. Shield," announces Police Captain Shuchigami, ordering his squad into position. "Our team will capture the remnants of the squads present in these crashed vehicles and catch up." "Very well, hold on, Izuku," David replies as the bike remodifies, sprouting 3 thrusters on each side, launching them toward the end of their respective yet surprisingly similar stories, at least for now. Hello again, readers of this FIC. I, the narrator of this tale, must admit I'm not the best fighter out there, but seeing the battles that we did yesterday along with our protagonist, Izuku's growing tenacity, battle instincts and courage is highly encouraging to me. You've seen the perspectives of many characters involved, but one side remains, that of Melissa, whose thoughts we'll explore here. Melissa has lived on Earth for a while, witnessing and getting to see surprises that would stun anyone. With a famous scientist and brilliant father like David, a mother whose details remain mysteriously hidden, and an uncle as goofy yet effortlessly cool as her hero, All Might, it's a dream come true in this society. But sometimes, certain doubts have always crept into her mind time and again, wondering if she can match her father with respect to his accomplishments, support the overworked heroes like her uncle and many more, or spark positive change with respect to power gained, possessed and utilized by certain individuals and even groups, among many other aspirations. Then there's the no-quirk reality involving her. While Island excels at supporting such individuals, many countries, Japan included, lag behind. She is irritated by this unfortunate truth, and that's why her beginner tools safe capture nets for police, self-adjusting tech for cars, clothes, vehicles, etc. polished by her dad but initially crafted by her, is carefully crafted by her, aiming to help those without tremendous power to call upon while being helpful to everyone. She always has the belief that she's made a difference by doing all these things. She recently got to attend her uncle's wedding to a lovely yet surprisingly sad woman, later revealed as Auntie Inko, whose son never discovered his quirk or the positive changes waiting for him at home. Melissa prays he'll return safely. Then came the blow, her father's kidnapping while returning from an alumni lecture in America. She hounded detectives, police, secret internet sleuths, and more, desperate not to lose one of her few family members. Police Chief Kenji Tsuragami assured her the case was under investigation, possibly linked to Inko's son's closed case. Melissa contributed in her own ways to gathering witnesses, securing camera angles, even hacking a lab computer to communicate with David and his own hacked computer in that lab he has been held captive in via coded messages. She handed the data to the police, who promised to end this case for good. Though she hesitated and wanted to be involved for as long as it was needed, a look from Uncle Might signaled no more waiting was or would be needed. He vowed to rescue her father and his son and later on, deliver this good news himself. She returned home but first chose to visit her new aunt and cousin along with their friends and family. "Yay, Sister Melissa is back. Come have this nice lunch with us," Nago and Tsukuyami exclaimed, their excitement polite yet eager. Melissa obliged, eager to enjoy Inko's hospitality and delicious food, and later, they spoke privately while Katsuki played with friends, followed by Nago and then Tsukuyami. "This case will end sooner than later, and I truly believe it's for the best," Inko said. "I agree, Auntie. I've only heard about Izuku from you. I hope that he will still be able to remember you and his family and friends waiting for him. I hope the worst hasn't happened, that my baby boy hasn't lost all his memories. But even if he has, I fully promise that your uncle and I will fill him with a lot of love and care, as if there is no tomorrow." Inko's words felt like the kick of a perfect coffee or cappuccino. Uplifting but healthy, hearty and totally free. Bidding farewell, Melissa headed home, vowing to help however she could. After all, she's the daughter of a scientist, and making and attempting to create some useful inventions are always better than to just wait around, at least in her and her father's book of operation. Well, readers, we've somehow reached this milestone, nearly 3,000 words of content and thoughts from these wonderful characters across many chapters. I, the narrator, hope this journey continues forever. Back on the hero's side. They've faced a surprising ambush, but there's been no need yet to unleash the super heavy hitters: All Might, Endeavor, Mirko, Best Jeanist, and other high and mid-ranking pros. All Might's strategy of teamwork and rotational team movements has eased the burden of fighting these henchmen and securing some necessary arrests, further proving his vast battle experience. Do you think anything worse could happen, All Might? Endeavor asks in a gruff tone while addressing the number one hero. I can, and that's why I'm always prepared, Toshinori replies calmly, ignoring his rival's clenched fist and slight tremble. My instincts are something that I've been training for a long while, and they have guided me to believe in them. I didn't end up becoming the number one for no reason. Endeavor's body trembles in anger and his fists clench even more. His yearning for the top spot has led to him sacrificing family along the way as well. Hopefully he'll find the right path again. Meanwhile, Izuku and David converse after another pit stop, repairing the auto-vagin to optimal condition after using its one-time use boost. So, you're telling me I have a father now, and he's All Might himself? I guess I'm already on heaven's path, Izuku says, reacting to David's revelation about his family after he finally gained the courage to ask him. Well, it's something. Free autographs and merch for life before anyone else, David jokes in response. Do you think I'll see you again after this? Izuku asks. Sure, kid. I'll send invites for UA classes anyway, so you'll get one too. Before you ask how I know, you've shown stubbornness for your values despite claiming no dreams. I'm confident in that, David assures. Okay then, Mr. Shield. We've got another 50 kilometers, and we're home free. Izuku pumps his fist, still 10 years old, mind you, and smiles. David asks him to hop on the bike, and they continue, occasionally helping some locals with directions and fending off some pursuing vans, though such incidents dwindle. They finally reach the hero's location, where a tall villain with a hologram shield quirk and another with super strength battle All Might. The latter targets Toshinori's weaker side, while he has been holding himself back in order to protect some injured police squads behind him. I just found out I have a father. You're not stealing my chance to meet him today. Izuku shouts, switching his SB-555D driver to blade mode and stabbing through the reflective shields. The stunned villain chooses to try and box Izuku in while he just weaves and dodges, waiting for the right moment. While his partner is stunned by the speed being showcased by this young boy and probably All Might's son, before he can react, All Might unleashes a Texas Smash combo, making the second villain to immediately collapse after this painful combo, while Izuku shifts to single mode, stunning and knocking out the quirk user after discovering a tiny gap being present just after his holographic shields got deployed. Now comes the moment that has been building up for a while. The brand new father and son duo finally meet each other for the first time. Well, I guess what Inko said holds true so far. I hope I'm not proven wrong soon. All Might voice as expected booms with some emotion, which some heroes and police members choose to recognize as fatherly pride. Unexpectedly, Izuku hugs him, shaking uncontrollably, sobbing tears from his weary eyes, not just a few, but a flood. All Might know that I've lost so many memories. I barely remember anyone except Mom, and I'm exhausted from these years of torture and pain. I contemplated giving in, praying for it to end, but I chose to never give up, to continue fighting on, remembering in the back of my mind, I guess, you would have done the same. Take me home, I can't fight much longer. I want to rest for a while in a nice place, then eat some food with my family. Please, please, take me home, our writer boy pleads. I promise I will, my son, Toshinori says, voice thick with emotion, some tears threatening to spill out of his eyes as well. I've never had a son or a family to come back home to, but I promised your mother and my niece Melissa that I would bring back both you and my friend David without any further harm done to the two of you. He chooses to end the remaining skirmishes, offers words of encouragement and wisdom. After confirming some further details and plans with Naomasa and Kenji, he departs with Izuku and David. "I've done terrible things, Toshi," David admits. "Your son was experimented on by me and that doctor, who I assume is aiding the villain who injured you. I know that my son has forgiven you already, Dave, and you know I will too. You had no choice. What's done is done. Let's focus on rebuilding my newfound family while you return to yours." "I'll agree with that, Toshi. I think some food, heck any meal shall work. I will soon start working on your organs and artificial skin as well, since I've gained some knowledge about such procedures. Let's continue this talk back home. Both of you can get some well-deserved rest," Toshinori replies, hugging and giving a loving kiss to Izuku on his forehead before tucking him into sleep. The once separated friends reunite, renewing their bond, gaining new emotions and regaining camaraderie. Wonder how the rest of the family will react? Well, readers, we've somehow reached this milestone. Nearly 4,000 words of content and thoughts from these wonderful characters across many chapters. I, the narrator, hope this journey continues forever. While Izuku yearned to return home to his waiting mother and sister, Toshinori and David opted to take him to Island first, where Melissa helped run tests on the experimented young man. Part of it being David's curiosity wondering if Izuku could be the key to helping All Might, another part filled with concern for the young man whom he most definitely counts as a nephew of sorts. Well, the cybernetic augments are running as effectively as possible, David concluded after nearly smothering his daughter in a hug. Not that Melissa minded. She'd missed her dad dearly. His reactor core needs a power source, or it's just working normally. It isn't just a decoration of sorts. The nanites are in symbiosis with his health and muscle-related quirks, and otherwise, he has no issues except some hunger for anything resembling food. Even now David chose to act this way in order to ease everyone's mind. "What happens when the core gets a power source, David?" Toshinori asked. "It's supposed to supercharge him exponentially, making him even stronger than you, while powering his suit equipment and later on unlocking some more powers for him to utilize. Judging by that belt and my self-professed love for a lot of tokusatsu media before it all shut down, you made a Kamen Rider suit, didn't you?" Toshinori inquired, eyes sparkling with inspiration from those heroes and their will to fight even when nobody else was willing to. "Surprised you nailed it on the first try," David replied, half joking but serious. "I did make it, but he can't use it yet. Maybe later. What I do promise is that it will help in many different ways." They talked, ran more tests, and eventually prepared to leave Island. "Thanks for the rescue, Uncle Might," Melissa said with an older sister tone, ruffling Izuku's green hair. "Hope you and little Aizu come back soon. I'll whip up some fun gadgets for this future hero." Izuku accepted the messing up of his hair as well as the future offer happily. It had been ages since anyone showed him affection like that. The flight home for Izuku and All Might was long, but they soon arrived back home, knowing that a certain someone awaited the both of them with bated breath. "What if Izuku doesn't remember me anymore, Mom?" Neon asked nervously, her emotions echoing the Midoriya family's famed sensitivity and occasional nervousness. "It doesn't matter," Inko assured. "We'll help him make new ones no matter how long it takes. You and I have waited nearly a decade. Any evildoer better pray they don't ruin this moment, or I'll deliver justice myself." Her words carried a scary yet mature maternal aura, unique to mothers. Their wishes came true. A roaring car pulled to a stop. Inko recognized it as Toshinori's restored Ford Maverick, his obsession with keeping classics alive, a hobby she equally loved to participate in. "Hey, Inko, I've made it back home," Toshinori called proudly. "Got you and little Neon some mochi and chocolate cake and pastries from that Tokyo restaurant the both of you love to eat in. Now, to complete our family, Izuku, you can come out now." Inko froze, eager yet terrified to see her son after nearly a decade. She was surprised. His freckled face emerged, green hair as unruly as ever. But his eyes held a mature edge no child should bear, his body far stronger than any 10-year-old's. They must have pushed him to extremes. And oddly, a whirring and ticking emanated from her baby boy. "Ma, I've finally come back home," Izuku said, tears welling. Inko, in tears herself, walked over and hugged him as if there were no tomorrow. "Welcome home, my brave hero. I'm sorry we couldn't rescue you any sooner. My dad helped to rescue me, and so did Mr. Shield. I have a pretty cool family now, huh?" Izuku replied, his tone light and humorous, floating in the air amid the heavy emotions present in the living room. "How much have you lost, Izuku?" Inko asked in a shaky manner, maybe somewhat scared by the answer she might receive. "A lot of memories, honestly. I don't remember much. Even you, my sister, even my uncle and aunt, those are still hazy. And the pain given to me by those experiments. It's still there. I believe that I am no longer human. I have wires, circuits, nanites, even a reactor core within my body. And that's if you ignore the amount of quirks loaded inside me," is the sorrowful reply delivered by Izuku. The conversation paused as a third voice tearfully joined them. "It doesn't matter. We're the Yagi Midoriya family. No matter who tries to break us, we'll rise like the sun. I'll help you as much as I can, and so will the rest." Neon hugged him tightly. "And so will we," Masaru added as he, Mitsuki, and the twins arrived unannounced, not expecting the ocean of tears from Inko and the others to emerge. Everyone piled into the hug, Tashinori included. They'd all lost something, but now they were complete. "Deku, I'm waiting for that spar. You promised we'd become heroes together, didn't you?" Katsuki declared haughtily after everyone separate. "You'll get it, Katsuki, but I have to remember promising a vow that I don't recall anymore," Izuku shot back sarcastically yet seriously, his custom HUD noting Katsuki's concerning tension. "Enough, brat. Don't hog the moment," Mitsuki scolded, smacking his head. "Don't leave again, Izuku. You wouldn't like the consequences," Tsukuyami said calmly while hugging him, startling Izuku and reminding him that he was no longer adrift in the ocean of despair. He had finally found his island of peace. And so, everyone, the future Kamen Rider claims a personal victory for now. But how long before danger returns, and Izuku embraces his destiny? How long before you get to hear some legendary words any rider often states? You will have to wait and find out. Neon Yagi awoke with a wide yawn, blinking into the dim morning light. She stretched, quickly realizing that she had to hurry or else being late to school would no longer be a distant nightmare if her movement wasn't fast enough. But one major obstacle stood in her way, that being her perpetually sleepy brother, Izuku. She opened his door and walked into his room, where she could see that he was still sleeping, cocooned in his blanket, resembling a lumpy roll of fabric more than a person. Her gentle shakes and a sharp yell into his ear failed to rouse him. Frustration mounting, Neon resorted to her quirk. With a focused hum, she levitated him, then lowered him to the floor with a soft thud, though she always claimed she did this as gently as possible, a lie Izuku hotly and persistently disputed. He groans, then stretches and then just sighs and says, "Despite whatever you may say to people, you have come to enjoy this method, haven't you?" While his sister chooses to just laugh and leave the room, knowing that her brother could take the tumble. After all, it had been 4 years since their father, All Might, staged Izuku's rescue, bringing him home and saving her brother from his torturous, injurious and harrowing ordeal. The years since were eventful, to put it mildly. Neon and her parents had worked tirelessly to help Izuku readjust, though some unique challenges persisted. First, his sarcastic introduction at Aldra Junior High, which her brother chose to deliver in his newly found nonchalant yet serious voice mixed with a lone wolf-like coolness, sparked many mixed reactions. Some classmates resented his quiet intensity, some became fans of this mysterious individual who was related to the energetic and helpful Neon, while a group of girls even formed an ever-expanding fan club that she has had to rein in repeatedly for the last 4 years now. Even she found these events to be quite perplexing. Despite the opinions and ideas of her classmates, she knew that her brother reserved his words and only was open towards his family and trusted friends, something that the rest of the class might not be able to fully see anytime soon. But if there perhaps one more thing that he has become, it is a person to either hate or overcome, as per the mindset of one Katsuki Bakugo. Once the only center of attention with his explosive quirk because of Tsukuyami and Neon not wanting to get hounded by their peers, He now had to share the spotlight with Izuku's unnatural strength, calm demeanor, and fierce anti-bullying stance. While many parents threatened a large variety of different legal threats to either him or his family, Izuku's threats to leak videos of bullies, oftentimes being the kids of such parents, targeting weak, mutant, or quirkless kids, silenced parental complaints overnight. Perhaps this was a justice born from his own scars. Neon did appreciate that despite the tremendous setbacks faced by Izuku, alongside his newly emerging loner behavior, he still chose to fight for all who couldn't fight for themselves. Yet, an unexpected twist emerged, her brother's newly found orphanuk form. Triggered when Katsuki taunted weaker students and tried to bully them, it kept manifesting as a pale, wolf-headed figure, making Izuku an aggressive and wild sort of figure. Long fight sessions with her and their dad, along with a calming meditation session led by their mother, eventually helped him to fuse this animalistic side of his to him normal self, leading to him gaining some extra height, sharper but controllable sense of hearing and vision. But it could still return under the wrong conditions. Fists flew, kicks punctuated their clashing emotions while they frequently clashed. Katsuki's ego-driven ambition versus Izuku's quiet resolve. He dreamed of being the soul, and if not that, then the most famous and strong hero from Aldera who would attend and graduate from UIT. Though Neon, Tsukuyomi, and Izuku were contenders, but Izuku's effortless charisma gnawed at him, often leading his ego to wonder whether he would become the only famous hero from this dump of a school. A fair amount of inflation by the authorities and peers of his age, filling his mind with the wrong ideas. Izuku, meanwhile, saw it as irritation, with him much preferring to watch the sky or practice martial arts, being one of many different activities he pursued for a variety of reasons. Sometimes to end his boredom, sometimes to pick up a new skill, but the biggest reason was to help him quiet his past. Their tension peaked when, during a fight between him and the person he has come to dislike, Katsuki's explosion blinded a boy walking his dog, leaving him vulnerable to a speeding truck. "Watch out, kid!" Izuku loudly shouted, his form shifting to his tougher orphanok side, with it having none of the extra aggression it once used to possess. The truck crumpled oddly as he shoved the boy to safety, who slumped into an unconscious state. His dad helped him to take the boy to the hospital, where his parent profusely thanked the Yagi duo, leading Izuku to wonder if his fears might just be nothing more than a mental. But despite wanting Katsuki to apologize for this incident, he said that it wasn't his fault that some extra came in the way of their battle. And this incident completely shattered their fragile bond even further. At school, some mutant quirk haters tried targeting Izuku after the reveal of his form, but his precise chops, punches and kicks left them bandaged and fearful of the young man, despite his best efforts to control his extreme strength. Izuku confided in Tsukuyomi and the Bakugo family, though Neon sensed their growing exhaustion with Katsuki's antics, which did mirror her own frustration. A light poke on her forehead snapped her from her thoughts. "You need food to survive, Neon," Izuku said with a sarcastic yet thoughtful lilt. "Being a cyborg has its perks, I suppose." The sibling duo then headed to the living room, where their lovely mother, Inko, had prepared a simple yet refreshing breakfast. "Dad's not here," Inko explained as they Saturday. "He got a call about trouble in Kansai Prefecture. Some villains are apparently holding many hostages, while managing to overwhelm a large number of their heroes. He'll be back soon after this rescue mission." The family, accustomed to Toshinori's heroic life, nodded. After a quick prayer of thanks, Neon packed her bag while Izuku lingered. Their mothers, "Be careful on your way to school," followed them out. On the walk, Neon asked, "Have you thought about your future plans, Izuku and I?" After listening to this question, Izuku gazed wistfully at the sky before simply answering with, "I don't know, Neon. With all this unique power inside me, I worry, you know. A stressful situation might make me hurt someone, I might struggle to hold back against the worst villains, and—" Before she could respond and Izuku could complete his words, a crowd's roar interrupted them, with the duo realizing that perhaps another villain versus hero clash might be occurring on their path to school. Younger Izuku and Neon might have once scribbled notes during such events, but now his HUD recorded data for later analysis that the two can look into at any time. Death Arms and Kamui Woods should bind the villain together instead of fighting separately, Izuku noted. But before Neon could reply, a new hero leaped in. Canyon Kick. The attack of this hero, they guessed, subdued the larger villain, and the crowd cheered for the tall hero whose name is Mount Lady, who purred and simply said, "A pleasure to meet you all," with a sultry pose to complete this situation. That is an odd debut, was a thought that both siblings silently agreed with, and their father is the man with some odd poses also present in his repertoire. So you can think about the validity of their opinions, dear readers. Ignoring this commotion, they reached Aldra. Classes kept passing by, including an unexpected PE session where Izuku dominated his passive but always present muscle and energy quirks, plus cybernetic augments, outclassing nearly all of them. Tsukuyomi had her explosion control helping her out. Katsuki flew with his, while Neon chose to fly with her telepathic quirk aiding her immensely, but they definitely struggled to match her brother, who has trained as well as been examined by Uncle David on the Island of all places. She did enjoy that trip and the chance to meet Big Sis Melissa once more. The final class arrived before a teacher brought out some career forms. Students took their time to fill them, and upon collection, the teacher quipped, "Most of you want to be heroes, I bet," tossing papers dramatically in a bid to complete his act of sorts. "You know it, teach, and so do the rest of these extras here, except a few of us. I'll be the greatest hero," Katsuki boasted, his ego familiar to readers. Responses stayed varied, some jeered him, some stayed silent, and others chose to talk about other topics. "Quiet down, my explosive little brother," Tsukuyomi snapped, her patented death glare silencing Katsuki for some time before he spoke once more. "How, you may ask, readers? It's simply because, finally, some peace. I was tempted to lower my hearing range. You definitely irritate me, cats," Izuku said, his first words in a while, breaking his silence and sparking Katsuki's fury once more. "You think you can go to UA with that weird animal form of yours? They need a hero, not an uncontrollable animal," Katsuki challenged. "Look who chooses to say that. I have a larger chance of getting in with your sister and mine as compared to you. But then again, who knows? We might end up meeting near their entry gates," Izuku retorted. The sisters and teacher intervened in order to curb an explosive situation from igniting and bursting into something uncontrollable. "No need to fight," the teacher sighed. "I hope the both of you would mellow down over the years, but I suppose that it's a lot to ask of. Anyways, go ahead and ask the counselor if you're unsure about your future career. School's over and good luck." The trio, Izuku, Tsukuyomi, and Neon, ignored him. The administration's tolerance of bad behavior irked them a lot, and hence they vowed to never mention this place if they end up becoming famous as heroes. As they left, Katsuki blocked Izuku. "Don't go to you, Izuku. You won't like the consequences." Izuku's bored gaze met his. "Scare someone who buys that, cats. Keep your weirdness away from us and our future school of choice." He walked off with Neon, while Tsukuyomi pulled her brother by the ear and dragged him out of their classroom. "You didn't have to be so rude, Izuku-nai," she said. He stayed silent, clenching his fist, pondering if his powers might one day harm others or if they could help to break the chains of pain enforced on others by people like the one who have experimented on him. A slimy voice cut in, "2 meat suits for free today, must be my lucky day." Then the slime villain lunged, but Neon's telepathic quirk crushed his surroundings with an energy field, before Izuku focused and found that he gripped his SB555D driver. Flipping it open and then entering the numbers, 4-4-4, he gained access to stun mode, something that his uncle and big sister helped him to achieve by modifying his belt and driver, due to which his nanites went active and fused the belt and driver to his body, only needing to focus in order to regain his equipment. Returning to the present day, he fired precise shots at the villain's eyes, then delivered a powerful punch that exploded the villain into many different slime fragments, his HUD confirming that the danger has passed for now. All Might arrived with a bottle in hand, happy to see that his children helped in stopping him. "Good work catching this villain I have been chasing for a while, my delightful kids, but do avoid using your powers publicly. I still hate that rule, but there's nothing we can do for now," was what their father said before he started collecting the slime fragments. Upon looking at his children's faces, he quickly added, "You both look serious. Follow me." While heading to a building, he didn't realize that the bottle had a hole, which allowed the villain to create a tentacle to help his escape, having finally gained his whole form again. After arriving to the building's rooftop, he deflated, simply asking, "Neon wants to be a hero with you, Izuku, but you have doubts, don't you?" "Yeah, Dad," Izuku admitted, sadness tinging his voice. "Therapy always helps, but my strength. What if I hurt someone while trying to save them? What if I lose control? Am I better than the villains?" "We're a family of heroes," Neon said, before hugging him. "We'll support you." Toshinori joined this impromptu hug session, but explosions and sirens interrupted their family moment. "I've just about hit my limit for today." "That bottle must have had a hole for the villain to escape from," All Might said, having a grave tone in his voice. At the alleyway the Yagi trio arrived in, Katsuki and surprisingly, Tsukuyomi were trapped, explosions fueled by the slime villain using their bodies as a proxy, an expression of fear stark on their faces since it was only a matter of time before this evil would totally consume their bodies for his malicious use. "Even though I may not like the guy, I don't want him to die," Izuku said. "Dad, rest and prep a Detroit smash to use. Neon and I will minimize the damage as much as we can." With all Yagi family members nodding, our sibling duo rushed off, ignoring the hero's warning and then tag-teamed, Neon shielded bystanders, delivered energy blasts of her own to create an opening before Izuku rushed and took a massive leap in the air. While quickly descending back, he chose to arrange his body in a particular manner, folded hands in a strategic alignment, one leg bent while one is stretched to its maximum height with everyone else staring at this unique attack, and then he delivered some very famous words which were, "Rider kick," freeing Katsuki, who hit the ground and ate some amounts of the road. Izuku smirked but never admits it, while helping his sister to get a softer landing if we choose to compare. Neon's energy shots had weakened the villain, but All Might's Detroit smash definitely dispersed it, altering the weather, leading to huge cheers by the crowd gathered. Heroes, like Death Arms, Kamui Woods and Mount Lady, warned them against such acts. Neon simply nodded, while Izuku ignored the ones who could have used their quirks instead of waiting for them to intervene. "I didn't need your help, Deku, and I will defeat you the next time," Katsuki grumbled, before being whisked away by Tsukuyomi and family, earning smacks. While the siblings went on ahead, All Might caught up to them and then deflated, groaning lightly. His artificial organs and skin tissue based on Izuku's tech extended his power, but even he knew that his reign waned and would end sooner than later. It was time to make an important decision. "Do you want to be symbols?" he chose to ask. "Why, Dad? Your body's not weakening, is it?" Neon said. "I love the both of you, but even you realize that I can't be a symbol forever. Hence, your dad wants to help you achieve your dreams, something my original mentor and someone I considered as my mother wasn't able to." Toshinori smiled, the smile reserved for his special people. "I offer you one for all, my past on quirk and my will for the future. Its secrets might challenge you and complicate your life. Will you still choose to take it?" "Brin, tell us everything," they both agreed after thinking for a while. Very few have gotten to train under the #1 hero, and they won't skip this chance. And with that, folks, our altered timeline begins, and we edge closer than ever to the creation of some new heroes as well as the return of the Kamen Riders of Legend. Last time, dear readers, we witnessed the spark of canon ignite, the resurgence of a legendary attack, and the kindling of a hero's spirit within our protagonist, Izuku Yagi. Now, let's dive back into the journey of the Yagi family as they take their next steps toward destiny. The sun hung low over Takoba Beach, or rather, the sprawling garbage landfill it had become, its once pristine sands buried under heaps of rusted metal, discarded appliances, and forgotten relics of a consumerist age. This was where we found the Yagi family, knee-deep in their unconventional training ground. Inko Yagi, the matriarch, stood with her arms crossed, her expression a deceptive blend of sweetness and menace. A frying pan hovered ominously beside her, its metallic glint catching the sunlight, a silent reminder of the morning's chaos. "Dear," she said, her voice dripping with a saccharine edge that made everyone freeze, "do you really think cleaning this beach, piled high with trash, without consulting me was a good decision in that head of yours?" Toshinori Yagi, better known as All Might, the symbol of peace, shrank under her intense gaze. The towering hero, who had faced villains capable of leveling cities, looked like a scolded puppy. I promise not to do it again, Inko," he stammered, raising his hands in surrender. Then his expression shifted, growing serious as he prepared to unveil a truth that would change their lives forever. "But before we continue, there's something you all need to know." He turned to his children, Izuku and Neon, along with Inko, who stood amidst the debris, their faces a mix of curiosity and apprehension. "This quirk of mine, one for all, is no ordinary power. Without proper training, attempting to wield it would be like shaking a soda can, and popping the top your bodies could literally explode. And that," he added with a grim chuckle, "is one situation I'd much prefer to avoid." Neon's jaw dropped, her vibrant hair catching the breeze as she processed the warning. Izuku, meanwhile, raised an eyebrow, his cybernetic enhancements present within his body whirring faintly as he analyzed the implications. His mind, always calculating, was already piecing together the magnitude of what lay ahead. Toshinori's voice grew solemn, carrying the weight of a man who had seen too much in his long career. "Your mother and I will train you both, not just to build strength and muscle, but to instill a sense of duty. In this world, many chase fame and fortune, climbing the hero rankings for wealth and glory. There's nothing wrong with ambition, but it should never come at the cost of an innocent life. You'll learn to balance power with responsibility, to protect those who can't protect themselves." Izuku and Neon exchanged a glance, their resolve hardening. They nodded in unison, then turned to the towering piles of garbage before them. With Inko's quirk subtly amplifying the weight of every object, they lifted her ability to manipulate attraction, making each piece of debris feel like it was fighting to stay grounded. The siblings began their grueling task. The beach wasn't just a training ground, it was a proving ground for their determination. Meanwhile, far from the salty air of Takoba, the bustling headquarters of Toei Entertainment hummed with activity. In a sleek office lined with posters of iconic heroes and writers, Tendu Shokan leaned forward in his chair, his eyes gleaming with excitement. On the screen before him played a grainy clip, captured by a bystander's phone. Izuku Yagi, without any transformation, unleashing his first rider kick, a move not seen in many decades, the energy near his outstretched foot crackling with raw, untamed power. Tendu slammed his fist on the desk, startling his overworked secretary, Sataniko, who sighed deeply. "Finally!" he bellowed, his voice echoing through the room. "The legend of the riders hasn't died. Sataniko, keep tabs on this young man. If he gets close to becoming a pro hero, I want you to contact him immediately. We have a chance to resurrect an IP from the ashes." Sataniko adjusted her glasses, her expression one of practiced patience. "Sir, you say this every time a new hero pops up," she muttered, but Tendu was too lost in his vision to notice. His mind drifted to his late grandmother, whose love for the riders had inspired his career. Her death had been the catalyst for him to seize control of his chaotic life and rise to the top of Toei. "Soon I'll fulfill your dreams, Grandma," he thought, clenching his fist. The riders and their lessons and stories would ride again, and Izuku Yagi might just be the key. Back at Takoba, days turned into weeks, and weeks into months. The Yagi siblings threw themselves into their training with relentless determination. Each morning, they tackled the beach, hauling away rusted car parts, shattered electronics, and tangled fishing nets. Inko and Toshinori didn't go easy on them. Sparring sessions where brutal. Inko's floating objects became unpredictable obstacles, forcing Izuku and Neon to dodge, weave, and adapt. Toshinori, in his weakened form, taught them strategy, using his experience to outmaneuver their youthful energy. More than once, the siblings found themselves face-first in the sand, coughing and laughing as they learned to anticipate their parents' tricks and feints, along with fight patterns. Their efforts didn't go unnoticed. Neighbors and passers-by began to comment on the transformation of Takoba Beach and the Yagi siblings. "Those kids are shaping up to be heroes," an elderly fisherman remarked one day while meeting up with the others for setting sail, watching Izuku heft a refrigerator with ease. "They've got their father's spirit." The praise fueled their determination, but it also reminded them of the weight of their legacy. Between training sessions, the siblings faced off against each other, their spars a mix of sibling rivalry and mutual respect. Neon's vibrant energy blasts lit up the beach, while Izuku's cybernetic precision allowed him to counter with calculated strikes. Their bond grew stronger, forged in sweat and shared purpose. While the siblings trained, Toshinori made a discreet trip to Island, the technological haven where his old friend David Shield resided. Officially, it was a visit to catch up with David and his niece, Melissa. Unofficially, it was to share the truth about One for All and the risks of passing it to his children. David listened intently, sipping a diet soda as he munched on fries, his casual demeanor belying the gravity of the conversation. "So, let me get this straight, Toshi," he said, leaning back in his chair. "You want to pass One for All to your kids, one of whom might reach unprecedented levels of power because he was quirkless. And you're worried about control?" Toshinori nodded, his expression heavy. Izuku's cybernetic enhancements already amplify his potential, but One for All could push him beyond anything we've seen. Neon's adaptable, but Izuku, I'm afraid the power might overwhelm him. Inko and I can guide them, but I need your expertise to ensure they're safe. David's eyes softened, and he offered a reassuring smile. "You've always been a worrier, Toshi. We'll run tests, design training regimens, maybe even tweak Izuku's cybernetics to stabilize the power. We've got this." With a nod, the deal was sealed, another ally in the fight to prepare the next generation for what might be a draining battle against absolute evil. Toshinori's next stop was UA High, where he met with Principal Nizu, the diminutive genius with a mind sharper than any blade. The principal's office was a blend of cozy and chaotic, with stacks of papers teetering alongside high-tech gadgets. Nizu listened as Toshinori explained his decision to pass on One for All, his laughter filling the room when the hero finished. "You always make life interesting, All Might," Nizu said, his eyes twinkling. "I understand your concerns about Izuku. His therapist has noted his struggles, trauma from his past, the weight of his forced cybernetic identity. I'll arrange for him to meet with Hound Dog regularly. As for you," he added, sliding a tablet across the desk, "this contains a teaching plan I've designed for new instructors. Study it. Who knows? You might just be my successor one day." Toshinori chuckled, taking the tablet. "A principal's throne? That's a battle I'm not sure I'm ready for." With a respectful bow, he left, eager to return to his family and the meal awaiting him. Months passed, and Takoba Beach transformed. The garbage piles shrank, replaced by stretches of clean sand and gentle waves. Izuku and Neon grew stronger, their bodies honed and their spirits tempered. During one particularly grueling cleanup, they stumbled upon an unexpected ally, Mei Hatsum, a whirlwind of a girl buried under a pile of discarded computer chips and cracked monitors. Izuku, ever the hero, freed her from the debris, his cybernetic arm whirring as he lifted the heavy load without much difficulty. Mei's eyes lit up at the sound, her curiosity overriding any sense of personal space. "What are you?" she demanded, circling him like a predator sizing up prey. "Those circuits, that reactor core spillet, mystery boy." Izuku, unfazed, responded with a cool, "Do not question me," but Mei's infectious energy broke through his stoic exterior. She became an unlikely friend, tinkering with his driver and belt, enhancing their capabilities with her inventive genius. To everyone's surprise, she also had a knack for calming Katsuki Bakugo, whose explosive temper seemed to fizzle in her presence, a mystery no one could quite explain. The day finally arrived. Standing atop the last pile of garbage, Izuku and Neon flexed their newly gained muscles, the beach nearly restored to its former glory. They had exceeded expectations, clearing the landfill in just 10 months, 2 months ahead of schedule. Toshinori watched with pride, his heart swelling as he called them over. "It's time," he said, his voice steady but heavy with emotion. "One for All was born from an evil called All for One, a villain who has cheated death, torn apart families, and left scars on us all. He took my mother figure, hurt Izuku, and shattered countless lives for his own gain. Accepting this quirk means joining the fight to end his reign. Are you ready?" Izuku stepped forward, his green eyes burning with a maturity that belied his age. "That villain stole my ability to dream," he said, his voice steady but laced with pain. "The day I regain that dream is the day he stops breathing. I'll protect our family, Dad, and every innocent who needs me." Neon nodded, her usual playfulness replaced by determination. "We're in this together, Dad. For you, for Mom, for everyone." The air grew heavy, the weight of their decision palpable. Then, Toshinori held out a strand of his hair, his expression sheepish. "To inherit one for all, you need my DNA. So, eat this." The siblings blinked, then sweat dropped. "A blood transfusion might be safer," Izuku suggested, his cybernetic logic unfazed by needles. Neon, however, paled. She'd never been fond of sharp objects, a fear born from childhood encounters with villainous syringes. The transfer was a success, but its effects were immediate and dramatic. Neon's powers exploded into new realms, concentrated energy blasts that could level buildings, gravity manipulation that bent the air around her, and even flight that left trails of shimmering light. Izuku's transformation, however, was more complex and alarming. He collapsed moments after receiving the quirk, his body overwhelmed by the surge of power interacting with his cybernetic core. When he awoke, he was on Island, surrounded by sterile white walls and the concerned faces of David and Melissa Shield. Tests followed, revealing the extent of his new abilities. He completed an obstacle course in a blistering 5 seconds, his speed warping the air around him. His punches, now wreathed in green lightning, shattered steel targets, and his jumps propelled him to heights that defied gravity. His driver's shots and laser blades, once formidable, now carried cataclysmic force. But control was another matter. While Neon adapted quickly, Izuku struggled to rein in the raw power coursing through him. He stayed on Island, training relentlessly under David's guidance to master his enhanced abilities. Each day brought progress, but also a nagging realization: the UA entrance exam was only a week away. Returning to Takoba, Izuku found his family waiting. Neon had changed. Her shoulder-length hair now cascaded past her shoulders, streaked with vibrant green to match her newfound power. The Yagi family walked the restored beach, the sand soft under their feet, the waves whispering promises of peace. "Peace is truly a blessing," Toshinori said, liking his ice cream with a contented sigh. "Indeed it is, Dad," Neon replied, a mischievous glint in her eye. "My loner brother and I will make sure your efforts aren't in vain." She winced as Izuku playfully flicked her forehead. "Don't talk smack about people when they're standing right here, little sis," he teased, his cold exterior cracking as he broke into a rare grin. Neon chased him across the beach, their laughter echoing as Inko and Toshinori watched, hand in hand. Inko squeezed her husband's hand, grateful for the serendipity or fate that had brought Toshinori into her life. "I'm starting a new journey, dear," he said, a playful lilt in his voice. "Teaching unruly students at UA. Think you can share some of your expertise?" "Oh, I'll teach you," Inko replied, smirking as she leaned up to kiss his cheek. "Just prove you can keep up with me." Their blushes mirrored the sunset, warm and fleeting. As the family headed home, they crossed paths with Katsuki Bakugo and Tsukuyami, accompanied by their parents. The Bakugos had been renovating their ancestral home, honoring their family's history. Izuku couldn't resist a jab. "Hope the dust didn't choke you, Mr. Explode." Katsuki's eyes narrowed, sparks dancing at his fingertips. "I'll blast your sorry but to nothingness, Deku. The exam's coming, and I'll be standing at the top." Tsukuyami yanked his ear, cutting him off. "I'm joining the support course," she said, her tone weary but fond. "Try to keep this explosive idiot in line, will you?" Neon grinned. "Don't worry, Kumi. I'll keep both him and my brother in check." The sisters exchanged a knowing look, their shared exasperation silencing the boys. That night, while the others slept, Izuku stood at his window, gazing at the starlit sky. His reactor core no longer ticked, it hummed, a steady pulse fueled by one for all. He wasn't fully human anymore, a truth he'd long accepted. But as he clenched his fist, he vowed to extend a hand to anyone in need, hero or civilian. The UA entrance exam loomed, a crucible that would test his new powers and his resolve. Beyond it lay a greater destiny, one tied to the Kamen Riders, to All for One, and to forces stirring in the shadows, watching Izuku with keen interest. That very day nears, my dear readers. The first henshin, the final attack, and the flex of newfound strength await. Forces with hidden agendas are moving, their eyes fixed on our protagonist. Prepare for the rise of the new rider of this generation. My dear readers, the moment we've all been waiting for has arrived. After chapters filled with foreshadowing, character growth, and mounting anticipation, we stand at the precipice of destiny. Izuku Midoriya, our steadfast protagonist, is poised to alter the fates of those around him, whether for the better or for the worse remains to be seen. Let us dive into the pivotal day where the future changed, and where the winds of justice chose to roar back, announcing its presence to anyone who could hear it. In the quiet of his room, Izuku sat cross-legged on the floor, his eyes closed in deep meditation. The faint hum of morning light filtered through the curtains, casting a soft glow across his serene expression. His sister, Neon, burst into the room with her usual mischievous energy, her green hair bouncing as she leaned against the doorframe. Is the resident lone wolf of the Midoriya household actually nervous about the UA entrance exam? She teased, her voice dripping with playful intent, eager to provoke a reaction from her typically stoic brother. Izuku opened one eye, his lips curling into a faint, sardonic smile. Not nervous, he replied coolly. Just wondering how many problems I'll have to fix after your pranks nearly cost everyone their seats at UA. Neon stuck out her tongue, unfazed by his sarcasm. Before she could fire back, their mother, Inko, called the two of them from the kitchen. Get moving, you two. You'll need your fuel for the long road ahead. Your father and I have trained you to the best of our abilities along with your uncles and friends, but life is unpredictable. Take it one step at a time. The aroma of a hearty breakfast wafted through the house, elevating Inko's simple words into something almost divine. Her cooking had a way of transforming the mundane into moments of warmth and comfort. Izuku and Neon exchanged a glance, their playful banter giving way to the promise of their mother's legendary but simple dish of rice, miso soup and dry salmon, which has been lightly coated with a special spice mix. Their father, Toshinori Yagi, better known to the world as All Might, entered the dining room, adjusting his tie with a rare air of nervousness. I'll be dropping you both off at UA's entrance, he said, his voice warm but tinged with excitement. I've got a meeting with my new colleagues afterward. Wish me luck, everyone. The family settled into their morning routine with practiced ease. Inko bustled about, tidying the house with her usual efficiency. Toshinori rummaged through his closet for the perfect suit, muttering about making a good impression at UA. Meanwhile, Izuku and Neon packed their backpacks with essentials, notebooks, pens, pencils, and a few personal items. For Izuku, the gear, which would have been a hassle to pack, was no longer that much of an issue. With a moment of focus, his rider belt materialized at his waist while the driver would materialize in his left hand, a shimmering blend of technology and destiny. The belt, sleek and futuristic, pulsed faintly with green energy, a testament to the power he carried within. With everything prepared, Toshinori ushered his children into the car for the long drive to UA High School. The cityscape of Mizudafu blurred past the windows, a vibrant tapestry of skyscrapers and bustling streets. Inside the car, a comfortable silence settled, broken only by the hum of the engine and the occasional crackle of the radio. Toshinori glanced at his children through the rearview mirror, his blue eyes softening. So, what happens once you get in? He asked, attempting to dispel the monotony of the drive. Will you keep being your usual selves, or are there changes on the horizon that your mom and I need to look out for? Neon, sprawled across the back seat, grinned. Not much, Dad. Probably more of the same. But maybe we'll make some lifelong friends or maybe some lifelong rivals. I'm excited for it all. Izuku, however, remained quiet, his gaze fixed on the sky beyond the window. His green eyes shimmered with a mix of determination and uncertainty. The weight of expectation pressed against him not just from his father, the former symbol of peace, but from the legacy he carried. The Kamen Rider mantle, inspired by the shows he and Neon had binged during many lazy afternoons after asking about some entertainment choices from their parents. It was a symbol of those who had lost everything yet still chose to fight for others. Izuku felt the burden of becoming a beacon of hope in a world threatened by darkness. Toshinori's voice softened, sensing his son's inner turmoil. Izuku, I know what you're thinking. You don't have to carry the world on your shoulders alone. We're still here, your mother, me, your sister, your friends. A hero's as well as an adult's job is to prepare the next generation, not to let you all bear the weight of saving everyone. If you stumble, we'll be there to guide you, fix your mistakes, and push you forward. His words carried a trace of experience and regret, a shadow of the battles he'd fought and the losses he'd endured. His HUD definitely caught the fleeting sorrow in his father's eyes, a reminder of the visits to the grave of the woman Toshinori called Mother, Nana Shimura, the previous wielder of One for All. Izuku nodded, his resolve strengthening. One step at a time, he murmured, echoing his mother's earlier advice. Toshinori smiled, turning up the radio to lighten the mood. A lively pop song filled the car, and Neon's enthusiastic air drumming drew a rare chuckle from Izuku. The music carried them the rest of the way, until the towering gates of UA High School loomed before them. I'll drop you off here, Toshinori said as they pulled up to the entrance. Stay calm and, well, break a leg, my children. You're stronger than you think. Izuku, Principal Nizu has given you permission to use your equipment, since it's a part of you now. All the best and make a name for yourselves. With a final wave, Toshinori drove toward the faculty parking lot, leaving Izuku and Neon standing before the gates of their future. Neon turned to her brother, her eyes glinting with mischief. So, what happens if I get the highest points, Izuku and I? Izuku smirked, his earlier tension easing. Nothing. But since you're so desperate to win, I'll bet 2 weeks of my pocket money you won't outscore me. I'll be enjoying the extra cash. You're on. Neon shot back, her competitive spirit flaring. Their banter was interrupted by a familiar, brash voice. Neither of you are getting crap while I'm around. Just step aside, Det. We need heroes, not destructive hurricanes like you, Katsuki Bakugo snapped, ignoring the hypocrisy of his statement while striding past them with his usual swagger. Before Izuku could retort, Bakugo's sister, Tsukuyami, grabbed his ear, yanking him back. I apologize for my hyperactive brother, Tsukuyami said with a sigh. Hopefully he'll behave or else. Her tone carried a warning that made Bakugo scowl but fall silent. With a polite nod, Tsukuyami followed her brother into the school. Izuku and Neon were about to follow when Neon suddenly stumbled, her foot catching on a crack in the pavement. Before she could hit the ground, she floated upward, her body weightless. I can float too, but this isn't my power, she said, puzzled. A cheerful voice chimed in. It'd be a shame to trip before the big day, right? I'm Ochako Uraraka. Hope we'll be classmates. The bubbly girl flashed a bright smile before hurrying past them toward the main building. Izuku watched her go, a faint smile tugging at his lips. Seems like we'll have some decent classmates at least. Inside, the siblings were directed to a classroom by one of Ectoplasm's clones. The written exam awaited, 1.5 hours to tackle a gauntlet of questions ranging from simple calculations to hero protocols and ethical dilemmas. One question, tailored to Izuku's unique situation, asked how to handle a kidnapping scenario, a subtle nod to the challenges that the soon-to-be Kamen Rider had to face, along with many different pro-heroes. The room buzzed with nervous energy, pencils scratching furiously as candidates grappled with the pressure. When the exam ended, the students spilled into the halls, comparing answers and venting their stress. Izuku and Neon joined the throng, heading toward the practical exam site where Present Mike awaited, his vibrant energy a stark contrast to the candidates' anxiety. Welcome, my dear listeners. Present Mike boomed, his voice amplified by his quirk. You've survived the tough theory questions. Now it's time to test your physical strength and mental fortitude. If you're ready, give me a yeah. The crowd was silent, nerves fraying, until Izuku's voice cut through. Let's go. His unexpected enthusiasm drew a grin from Present Mike. I like that spirit, Candidate 10555. Present Mike continued, explaining the practical exam. A battle against robotic enemies worth 1, 2, or 3 points, as detailed in the pamphlets. Each candidate would face a separate testing ground to ensure fairness. Well, there goes my plan to beat and crush you, Deku, Katsuki said with a scowl, while Izuku chose to reply back with, yeah, it definitely is a shame that your plan failed before it could catch a spark, stupid bomber boy. Keep quiet, please. You both have been talking loudly for a while and have distracted the minds of everyone present here. Also, Mr. Present Mike, why is there no mention about the blackened image of a large robot in your pamphlet? Is this how UA shall operate if we were under your care? A certain candidate chose to ask very loudly. He paused, then addressed a question from Tenya Ida, who had pointed out a mysterious blackened image in the pamphlet. You've ruined the surprise, Candidate 23456, Present Mike said with a mock sigh. That's the 0-pointer, a massive robot worth no points at all. Fighting it is unnecessary and an absolute pain. Hope you don't have to deal with it. Now, head to your testing grounds. As the candidates boarded buses to their respective battlefields, Ochako approached Izuku, drawn to his calm demeanor. Tenya, ever vigilant, stepped between them. Are you trying to distract him? Please don't. Ochako blinked, surprised. I just wanted to wish him luck. We met earlier. Tenya apologized, stepping aside, and Ochako grinned at Izuku. Good luck, Izuku. Let's win this, yeah? Izuku nodded respectfully. I hope we'll be classmates, Uraraka. You're pretty cool. After reaching their respective grounds, he focused and then his rider belt materialized at his waist. In his hand appeared a sleek flip phone, which he snapped open before entering a code. Burst mode, the device announced, its voice echoing as Izuku began firing precise energy blasts at the robots, quickly rushing and breaking the sound barrier, while he continued moving with a grace that belied his power, gaining a large number of points very quickly. There's no countdown here, everyone. Present Mike shouted. Rush in, fight and win. Go beyond plus ultra. The candidates surged forward, each battling for points. In the faculty observation room, Principal Nizu sipped his tea, his eyes gleaming with excitement and anticipation. This batch has potential to surpass all others, wouldn't you agree? Midnight nodded, her gaze sweeping the monitors. They're lively and ingenious. It's nice to see such promising groups display this important skill. Snipe mentally noted candidates with sharp aim he might choose to train later, while Cementos prayed that hoping that the testing grounds wouldn't be reduced to rubble. Hound Dog scribbled names for potential counseling, even if they didn't qualify to become UA students, and Aizawa, ever sleepy yet observant, simply remarked, some treat it like a game, others team up, but a few that like them are thriving under such conditions. The cameras panned to Neon unleashing psionic storms, Bakugo blasting robots with explosions, Ochako using her gravity quirk with precision, Tenya using the engines on his legs to speed blitz the robots, among many strong displays by different candidates. All Might, the newest faculty member, smiled. These are the heroes who'll take our place. Let's see their resolve. He pressed a red button, unleashing the 0-pointer robots. Chaos definitely erupted. Some candidates fled, others scrambled for points, and a few resorted to sabotage. This, the staff agreed, was pretty standard behavior. Izuku and Neon, however, noticed Ochako and Mizo Shoji trapped under rubble, a towering 0-pointer looming above them at their respective grounds. Ignoring the panicked screams around them, the siblings rushed to help. Does it hurt? They asked in unison, pulling Ochako and Shoji free. Ochako winced, her ankle broken, while Shoji grimaced, his shins bruised. The 0-pointer's shadow darkened the ground, its mechanical roar shaking the air. Neon acted first, floating upward and summoning a massive psychic storm, which was an ultimate attack she had been training to pull off for a while now. Green lightning crackled, tearing through the robot's circuits and halting its advance. In the meanwhile, Izuku flipped open his driver, entering the code 555. Standing by, the device intoned. He threw the phone from his left to his right hand, which he used to close the phone, before attaching it to his belt. He then struck a boxer's pose and shouted, "Rider Henshin!" "Complete," was what the driver said before a cloud of steam enveloped him, dissipating to reveal his Kamen Rider suit, a fusion of iconic designs. The suit was definitely sleek. It has armor that was a fusion of the one found on the Ikigata suit from Kamen Rider 01 and the base Fui's suit from Kamen Rider Fui's. His helmet was detachable, definitely taking inspiration from the 2023 reboot film Shin Kamen Rider, while it fused the looks and gave him a sleek but white-colored eyes having a slight green tint mixture, making him gain that grasshopper cyborg yet Orphanok look. His bodysuit from the back had some green stripes behind him, which helped to remove any excess lighting he would eject after activating One for All. Green lightning sparked around him as he broke the sound barrier, evading the missiles sent by his current opponent and charging at the legs of the zero-pointer. You can start playing Justiphase now if you want to, my dear readers. His punches were devastating and sound barrier crushing, each blow resonating with power. Purposely targeting the zero-pointer's legs, each punch and kick was delivered with crushing intent. Then, switching his driver to blade mode, he slashed through the robot's exterior, with each slash eventually leading to one powerful final swing of his photon laser sword, which led to him immobilizing the massive behemoth of circuitry and chips. He realized that he had finally found his opening. Bending both his legs and deciding to keep one of his leg on the front, with one of his arm being kept near his kneecap. This pose was initially done by the original Kamen Rider Fui's, Inui Takumi. It allowed him, and now it allows Izuku, to lock in and focus on the enemies the former and present rider wanted to vanquish, as well as allow the both of them to gain the maximum jumping height to perform their finisher. He opened his driver, pressed the enter button leading to the driver announcing the statement, "Exceed change." Utilizing the advantage of his current pose, with a massive and impressive leap, he extended his leg, from which a green conical energy net started enveloping the robot. "Rider kick," he triumphantly roared, vanishing momentarily before reappearing in a flash, showing that he was now in front of the huge robot. The zero-pointer disintegrated into dust, a glowing phi symbol marking its demise. The candidates and faculty were stunned, bamboozled and flabbergasted, Power Loader especially gaining a look that bordered on sadness due to the destruction and end of his machine, as well as genuine curiosity about the tech utilized by this candidate, having seen and similarly inspired pink-haired student create body armor just like this. Tenya and many of the soon-to-be students just stared, slack-jawed at the sequence of events they just got to witness, while some of the other teachers turned to All Might, wanting to ask some questions. "What did you feed these kids?" Midnight asked incredulously. "Katsudan, hearty breakfasts, lunch, dinners, and a lot of love and respect," Toshinori replied, beaming with pride. "I did want to say that your son was arrogant, flexing his power like he owned it all. But I won't, since he only used his true power when required, not for fame but to help. I am impressed." Aizawa chose to speak his mind about the unique situation he just faced. "It may be a little futile to ask, but can he be my student? He did give off a lone wolf sort of behavior during the initial phases of the exam. Maybe I can help him to improve on that aspect." The blood hero Sekijiro Ken, sensing that there is more to this candidate than what they all might have thought of thus far. "I'll contemplate and check if your idea can be implemented," said Jikiro. "Let's focus on closing down our battle centers now," Nizu chooses to say as he begins the protocols that lead to the shutdown of the centers and for the cleaning robots to start their programmed routine cleanup. While those conversations were occurring, we get to see that the newly famous heroic siblings later meet each other while they helped Ochako and Shoji to meet Recovery Girl, who greeted them warmly. "Don't stress yourselves, dearies," she said, offering gummies. "Rest, heal, and get to know each other. The hard part of these exams are done. I do wish they could at the very least change the format so that some of you wouldn't get this badly hurt," which was a thought that all 4 gathered participants of the practical exam wholeheartedly agreed on. 2 days later, the Yagi family gathered to open their children's acceptance letters. To their surprise, Principal Nizu's holographic image appeared. They leaned in order to listen to his message. "Am I a mouse, a bear, a rodent, or something else? Who knows? But I am the principal of UA," Nizu chirped. "Izuku, Neon, you've broken the record your father set. Perfect scores of 50-50 on the written exam, and 90 points each in the practical. Facing the ominous zero-pointer was a hidden challenge, which was our way of seeing your performance while facing daunting danger, and your courage in saving others earned you an additional 50 points each. Some candidates you may have gotten to know during the practical portion even offered to share their points, though it wasn't necessary. Your total score is 140, definitely surpassing the one set by many of our alumni, including your father. Welcome to your hero academia. The family erupted in cheers, Inko and Toshinori enveloping their children in a group hug. It's a shame that I won't be able to buy that jacket I had been looking to buy for a while, Izuku said in a sarcastic tone, a simple smile on his face as he looked at his sister. Well, you win some, you lose some. Next time, your pocket money will be mine, Izuku, his sister said back to him in a similar manner before bursting out into collective laughter with their parents. Since my lovely future heroes did break every single one of our expectations, a meal at Ichiraku Ramen is our treat, Toshinori and Inko said at the exact same time, before they went to their rooms to change and enjoy the achievements of the future symbols of peace, strength, stability and danger for those who do evil things, of course. And so, dear readers, the power of the legendary Kamen Riders has returned once more. The future of heroics is completely shifting, with new challenges and factions vying for power. Let us hope Izuku and Neon are ready for what lies ahead. Welcome, my dear readers. You witnessed Izuku achieve something unseen in ages, a henshin that echoed through time, a fierce battle against a towering foe, and the inaugural rider kick of his generation. But remember, nothing in this tale is etched in stone. Fates can twist with the winds of change, shaped by the souls who walk these pages. I hope you'll stay with us as the story unfolds. The glow of celebration had faded, but its warmth lingered in the Midoriyagi household. After Principal Nizu's holographic address whispered by Toshinori as, "that rat god," under his breath the family had reveled in the triumph of their rider and his storm-wielding sister. Laughter, steaming bowls of ramen, and heartfelt toasts had filled the night, a rare oasis of joy amid the relentless march of destiny. Yet, as dawn's first light crept through the windows, even the sweetest victories must yield to the rhythm of ever-constant routine. Izuku stirred in his bed, the faint ache in his muscles a quiet reminder of the power he'd unleashed. Blinking against the morning sun, he shuffled into the kitchen to find his family already gathered around the table, their expressions a blend of concern and quiet anticipation. "You sure slept in, Sai," Neon said, her usual mischievous spark dimmed by genuine worry. She poked at her breakfast, her green eyes searching his face. "You okay? Didn't overdo it with your power, did you now?" Toshinori set down his coffee mug, his broad and definitely better-heeled frame leaning forward with a father's unyielding resolve. "While I always planned for you two to inherit one for all, I overlooked something crucial. The power's been split between you. Izuku, you've drawn more of the stockpiled strength than Neon. Think I'll have to CC call my SS-sensei to train you." His voice cracked slightly, a rare CHK in the armor of the world's greatest hero. Gran Torino's grueling methods had forged Toshinori into all might, but even he dreaded the old man's unyielding drills and the verbal lashings that came with them. "Hopefully he'll go easy on you." Izuku met his father's gaze steadily, rubbing the back of his neck. "I figure I tapped about 30% of the stockpiled power, Dad. Yours at 30% is worlds apart from mine. Mine is stronger, but yours is more refined thanks to your experience. For now, my augmentations, the rider suit, and all that brutal training you put us through, they have kept me from crumbling, so I'll manage somehow." Inko, ever the anchor in their storm, placed a gentle hand on Izuku's arm, her touch a balm against the undercurrent of worry. "I hope UA's facilities give you the edge as well, some backup that you will need in the long haul, sweetheart. Now, let's snap out of it, all of you. Today's the day you stop being just my beautiful, quirky kids. You'll be symbols, greater than your father or I ever dreamed. I've got everything ready. Eat up, bathe, then strike a pose. These photos are going straight into my endless memory album." Her words, laced with maternal warmth, pulled them from the shadows of concern. The family sprang into motion, Inko tidying the house with her signature efficiency, anticipating visits from her chatty friends. Toshinori ironing his crisp suit, tie, and polished boots for his introductory classes in the General Studies Department, and the Yagi twins, Izuku and Neon, prepping for their inaugural day as UA students. Izuku slipped into his uniform, the fabric a symbol of the path ahead, while Neon hummed a tune, her excitement bubbling like a contained tempest. With backpacks slung over shoulders, the trio piled into the car. Toshinori detoured to a quaint bakery, emerging with a box of assorted sweets, matcha mochi for Nizu, red bean buns for midnight, and simple taiyaki and chocolate cake for the rest. A little sugar goes a long way with new colleagues, he chuckled, though his eyes betrayed a flicker of nerves at re-entering the hero world as a teacher. The drive to UA was a serene interlude, the city's morning bustle a soothing backdrop. Even Neon's boundless energy simmered into thoughtful silence as she pondered the day's unknowns, quirky teachers, rivalries forged in fire, perhaps even a prank or two of her own. Izuku, meanwhile, retreated inward, mentally cataloging his limits. That rider kick against the zero-pointer had left him sluggish, his body protesting the surge like overtaxed gears. More training, he resolved. I must push my boundaries, but don't shatter them, was a thought that rose to his mind after some thinking. At the gates, Toshinori pulled over with a proud smile. You've got this. Make it count. He ruffled their hair before vanishing into the faculty lot, leaving the twins to navigate UA's labyrinthine halls. Nizu's architectural whimsy, twisting corridors and hidden stairwells ensured no two paths were ever straightforward, a deliberate test of adaptability. After a frantic search, they reached the towering door of Class 1A, its oversized frame a thoughtful accommodation for quirks that warped heights to extremes. Pushing it open revealed a classroom alive with nascent chaos, the raw energy of future heroes on full display. A girl with vibrant pink skin and curling horns bounced on her toes, her alien-like enthusiasm rivaling Neon's. New faces. This is gonna be epic, you're totally my new bestie material, said girl loudly declared, waving wildly at the two of them. Others cloaked themselves in enigma. A boy with a bird-like head of multifaceted feathers observed silently, his gaze sharp as a predator's. A figure with a rocky head simply sat in his seat, exuding quiet vibes all around him. A few huddled in corners, their shyness a fragile shell against the unfamiliar tide they found themselves in. Then came the familiar clamor from two different voices. Do you have to disrespect the benches our senpai used? Feet down, it's basic courtesy to do so. Tenya Ida's voice boomed, his spectacles glinting as he chopped the air in reprimand. From the desk's edge, Katsuki Bakugo snarled back, feet propped defiantly. Why were you bugging me this early, four-eyed Nitrocan? Bet you crawled out of some stuck-up elite school like Some. Doesn't matter, I'll blast you anyway. It does matter. Tenya shot back, undeterred. Prioritizing teamwork and saving lives, that's heroism. What's this crushing nonsense all about? Izuku sighed, the absurdity piercing his cool facade. Early morning prayers wasted. Why do I gotta deal with you? Exploding like a dud grenade before coffee, Katsuki? Bakugo whirled, palms sparking faintly. I could say the same, Deku. Why do our paths keep crossing? Couldn't you just dash? Tenya interjected, bowing sharply to the twins. You two saw through the entrance exam's veil. Rescuing others trumps points every time. I failed to grasp that. I'm disappointed in myself, but let's start fresh as classmates. I'm Tenya Ida. Izuku and Neon nodded in perfect sync, their mirrored poise drawing murmurs from onlookers. The ones who nailed that rider kick in Hurricane Storm, Ochako Uraraka exclaimed, bounding over with Mizo Shoji in tow, his multifaceted arms folded thoughtfully. Izuku waved it off modestly. Just doing what heroes do, saving as many folks as possible while staying safe. It's nothing special. Neon's eyes flicked to a suspicious yellow bundle by the door, a sleeping bag, with what looked like a wild mane of hair poking out. Someone's waiting for us to settle. Let's not keep them waiting. The bag unzipped with a rustle, revealing a disheveled man in a tracksuit, slurping an orange juice pouch like it was nectar. Sharp eyes. You and your brother clocked me in 5 seconds flat and reigned in the growing circus. The rest of you, try taking notes. He straightened, his bloodshot eyes scanning the room like a hawk. I'm Shota Aizawa, your homeroom teacher. While other classes drone through orientation, we're skipping straight to the field. Before you ask, facilities have leeway to teach as needed, and right now, I need you geared up and outside. Let's move now. The class, stunned into compliance, filed out in a daze, swapping uniforms for gym clothes amid a flurry of chatter. After exiting the locker room, a girl with red hair and jagged, shark-like teeth looked at Izuku before noticing he had signs of him being a regular gym-goer. Those arms are definitely manly as heck, dude. We have to become gym buddies. I'm Ijira Kirishima. Nice to meet you, the aforementioned girl excitedly stated, happy to see someone like herself. Neon grinned, before elbowing her brother. I will tell you all something important. My brother, he's a loner type. Izuku's has all the introvert vibes of the world, doesn't chat much, packs way too much power for his own good, and Izuku's hand clamped over her mouth mid-sentence, his cheeks tinting faintly, definitely something that he doesn't do that often. Later, Kirishima-san. Let's focus on the tests for now. Outside on the sun-drenched field, Aizawa stood like a sentinel, clipboard in hand. You've all had quirks for years, but society's equality rules kept them caged. While those rules had good intentions, rotten results have kept arriving due to poor implementation. It stifled your growth and made mine and your other teachers' job a little bit tougher than needed. So, we're running standard quirk apprehension tests. The scores directly beam to my tablet, highest and lowest, live for all to see. Mina Ishido the horned girl, pumped her fist. Finally, quirk time. This'll be a blast. Aizawa's gaze hardened. Fun and games? Hero works a grind, if thankless, soul-crushing at times job. It could break you in ways no glue will ever be able to fix. To steel you for it. Let's see. The one dead last? Expelled. On the spot. Protests erupted like fireworks. We just got here, why expel us now? Ochako wailed, her round face paling at the memory of her near-fatal trap and situation at the entrance exam. Life's not fair, Aizawa deadpanned. That's the gig. I call the shots here. Show me your grit. The Yagi twins tied in the entrance scores, so Neon, you're up first. Neon stepped to the baseball pitch, the class forming a loose semicircle. Throw this as far as you can with your quirk. No holding back. Channeling one for all into her telekinesis, Neon wove crackling green lightning around the ball, hurling it skyward. A thunderous boom echoed as it vanished into the clouds, the air shimmering from the shockwave. Aizawa glanced at his tablet. 60,000 kilometers. Solid benchmark. Try matching it or maybe even beat it. Go now. Test 1. 50-meter dash. The track gleamed under the sun, a canvas for speed. Tenya's engines roared, clocking 3.04 seconds in a blur of exhaust. Most hit 5 to 7 seconds, respectable bursts of power. But the twins? A synchronized 2.00 seconds, their forms filled with verdant lighting cutting the air like blades. Jaws dropped. A spark of rivalry ignited in weary eyes. Test 2, grip strength. Machines whirred as hands clamped down. Shoji's duplicated arms crushed 540 kilograms. Momo's created gauntlet-edged 600 kilograms. Izuku and Neon? The devices shattered in sparks and groans, their grips a testament to inherited might, making Aizawa raise his eyebrows in surprise. Test 3, standing long jump. The sandpit yawned like a challenge. Explosive legs and flight quirks cleared it effortlessly. Bakugo rocketing over with a snarl, Tsuyu croaking mid-leap. The twins bounded across without a ripple, grace masking raw power. Everyone else cleared it as fast as possible. Test 4, repeated side steps. Agility reigned here. Mihara Mineta's sticky ball ricocheted her through with comical flair, but Izuku's cybernetic reflexes honed by passive quirks and rider tech, nanites and reactor core snagged him second place, a shadow to her somewhat mechanical precision. The seated toe touch, sit-ups, and distance run unfolded with grit. Tenya's endurance, Kirishima's relentless willpower, Momo's calculated bursts, Katsuki's explosions and the twins' seamless dominance. But the finale loomed over them all. Test 8. Ball throw. Ranges flickered on the tablet. 800 to 1,000 meters for most, Bakugo's 705.2 meters drawing a furious scowl dash. This is too good dim weak of an effort. As Izuku stepped up, Aizawa blocked him. You've somewhat sandbagged these tests, Yagi. Power without control is just worthless. Channel and show me what you used in the exam, the real deal. You have let Shoko slide, she's dual-quirked yet she used only of her powers, Izuku countered evenly, nodding to a fuming girl with the dual-tone eyes and hair. She will have to redo some tests as well. Now you show me your power. Neon simply sauntered over, moving a waiver at Aizawa. Izuku and eyes got too much juice. It'll crater the field, shatter windows, it will transform into Lawsuit City. Sign this so he can cut loose without UA suing us into oblivion. Her tone was casual, as if haggling over chores, a family ritual, readers. Aizawa scrawled his name and signature, eyeing Izuku warily before the writer chose to deliver some requests of his own. Clear the area, get yourself as well as your ears to be covered by anything, keep your eyes sharp and hold on to something. Momo chose to help out her classmates by creating some pillars and some noise-canceling industrial headphones. Izuku centered himself, the belt materializing at his waist with an ethereal hum, the flip phone driver gleaming in his palm. He punched in 555. Standing by, the driver intoned. Snapping it shut, he moved it skyward. Rider Henshin. Steam billowed like a strong tempest, the driver's complete, ringing out as his form emerged, sleek green armor fused with heroic legacy, green veins of photon energy pulsing all around. The class gasped, whispers of, "That's him, the zero-pointer slayer," rippling through. Gripping the ball, Izuku surged with 30% one for all, the familiar burn lancing through his veins. He flipped open the driver, slamming the enter key. Exceed charge, it stated before he closed it. A vortex of emerald light coiled around his arm. Photon smash. The throw shattered the sound barrier, a sonic boom that rattled bones, whipping winds into a frenzy. Momo conjured noise-canceling headphones was definitely helpful, the class clutching onto her pillars as the ball streaked away, trailing a comet's fiery tail while down on their ground. Multiple tornadoes arrived out of nowhere before Neon used her power to stop them. Aizawa's tablet beeped. Infinity. He exhaled slowly. It was smart to hold back earlier. You lot might be my worst problem children yet. Rankings are up, there will be no expulsions today since you all took it seriously. You're dismissed, grab your schedules in your homeroom. It's a light day ahead, you can go home and rest while you can. The rankings were displayed when they came back, with Izuku edging Neon out by just 1 point while the others, like Momo, Tenya, Katsuki had positions like 3rd, 4th, etc., with the bottom being filled by Mihara, Toru and some others, who were relieved that they weren't expelled immediately. On one side, as Shota trudged toward the faculty lounge, a booming voice greeted him. "My kids surprised you at Aizawa?" All Might loomed, grin wide as the horizon. Aizawa rubbed his temples. "Stock up on premium coffee, symbol. Your spawn and their crew might force my retirement this year. We'll see." He dialed his wife, Emmy, her hero name, Ms. Joke, and he was hoping that her corny puns could yank him back to sanity. "Hey, Emmy. Yeah, first day blues have definitely hit me very hard. Hit me with your worst." Back in class, the floodgates opened. "How strong are you two?" Mina grilled. "Who's your trainer, All Might?" Kirishima flexed. "And what do you like sparring? Ramen?" Izuku fielded questions with measured replies, his social stamina fraying. The 30% ache throbbed faintly, a reminder to refine his control as well increase his people skills, which he sheepishly admitted needed work. He exchanged numbers for the Class 1A group chat, dodging deeper probes with a wry smile. Hantasiro, elbows unspooling tape idly, clapped his hands. "Come on, let's unwind at McDonald's, fries on me." The class piled out, bonds forming over burgers and banter, the day's trials forging tentative alliances. For Izuku and Neon, it was a breath before the storm. It was a simpler day for our heroes, dear readers. But next? Team skirmishes, raw confessions, and shadows stirring. Stay with us, the ride's just beginning. It had been quite some time since our paths crossed again, dear readers, in this sprawling corner of the My Hero Academia multiverse. We've witnessed a tapestry of events unfold, triumphs and trials, bonds forged in the fires of adversity, and powers that defy the ordinary. Izuku Midoriya, with his unyielding rider strength, and his sister Neon, whose abilities somewhat mirrored his in ways both profound and perilous, had already demonstrated that their true power is definitely something to contend with. Their connections to family, friends, and foes were still budding, delicate tendrils reaching toward an uncertain future. But their resolve? That was about to be forged in the crucible of combat, tested like never before. The morning sun cast long shadows over the gates of UA High School, a beacon of heroism amid the bustling streets of Mizudafu. Yet today, that beacon was besieged not by villains, but by a swarm of reporters, their cameras flashing like predatory eyes, microphones moved forward like spears. The news of All Might's appointment as a teacher had ignited a media frenzy, and every journalist worth their press pass was clamoring for a scoop. "What do you think about All Might teaching at UA?" became the refrain, echoed by voices from various outlets, some reputable, others chasing viral fame. They accosted students as they approached, hoping to capture that golden soundbite to propel their careers into the stratosphere. The responses were as diverse as the quirks of Class 1A itself. Ochako Uraraka, her cheeks flushed from the unexpected attention, paused mid-step, her zero-gravity quirk making her backpack bob slightly in the air. "His presence is. Well, it's large, you know? But I think school's been going along normally. We're all just trying to learn and become better heroes." Her words were earnest, laced with that trademark optimism that made her seem lighter than air, literally and figuratively. Not everyone shared her patience. Katsuki Bakugo stormed through the crowd, his scowl deepening with each flashbulb pop. "Move before I make you," he growled, explosions crackling faintly at his palms as a warning. The reporters scattered like leaves in a gale, sensing the volatility in his eyes. Bakugo wasn't one for interviews. His ambition burned too hot for idle chatter. Tenya Ida, ever the paragon of DS-Pin, adjusted his glasses with a precise motion before responding. "Yes, I believe he will teach us a great deal. His experience shall serve as an invaluable tool in our development as heroes." His voice was steady, optimistic, carrying the weight of his family's legacy. The reporters nodded appreciatively, jotting down notes, but Ida was already moving on, his engine-like calves propelling him forward with purposeful strides. Then there were the more flamboyant replies. Mina Ishido struck a pose, her acid-pink skin glistening under the morning light. "Look at my moves," she exclaimed, twirling with a grin that revealed her sparkling teeth. Beside her, Yuga Aoyama sparkled quite literally as he flipped his hair. "And my sparkling personality. All Might? He's fabulous, darling, but wait until you see what I bring to the table." Their energy was infectious, drawing laughs from the crowd, but it was short-lived. Momo Yaoyorozu, heir to one of Japan's prestigious families and having been trained in the art of media navigation, offered a composed response. "All Might's guidance will undoubtedly elevate our training. We're grateful for this opportunity." Her words were polished, diplomatic, a far cry from the icy glare of Shoko Todoroki, who stood nearby. Shoko's heterochromatic eyes fixed on the reporters with a cold intensity that seemed to drop the temperature by several degrees. No words escaped her lips, but the message was clear: back off. The reporters shivered, their hearts freezing under that unyielding stare. They chose self-preservation for today and simply just let her and some other students like Toru, Ojiro, Rikido, etc. go, not wanting another situation like the one they just faced. The real turning point, however, arrived with the Yagi twins Izuku and Neon, the secret children of All Might himself. Neon, with her mischievous grin and viridian hair tied in playful ponytails, leaned into the chaos. "It'll be cool to see him teach the next generation. It's a real shame you won't be able to watch and report about that," she quipped, her eyes twinkling with a telekinetic promise and large amounts of mischief. The reporters blinked, intrigued and angered by her cheeky deflection. But it was Izuku who truly captivated them. His calm demeanor belied a storm within. His green eyes, sharp and focused, swept over the crowd. He hasn't taught us yet. How do you expect us to give an answer to such a useless question? Just move out of my way now. His voice was even, but an aura of restrained intensity emanated from him, a man with far more pressing matters than tabloid fodder. The reporters parted like the Red Sea, whispering among themselves. This boy was different. Perhaps a story lurked beneath that stoic exterior. A heavy sigh cut through the din as Shota Aizawa, the ever-exhausted homeroom teacher, shuffled into view. His eyes, bloodshot from lack of sleep and patrols, scanned the scene with weary disdain and longing for Emmy. He wondered as to how that emotion even made an entry in his brain. Sigh. Even with my regular coffee dose, I will never be able to do this properly. Leave, everybody. It's time for these students to apply themselves. Your consistent interruption won't help us in the slightest. His tone was flat, but authoritative, the kind that brooked no argument. Beside him, Present Mike simply replies with, "You may get a reply from the big man himself later. But now leave." His quirk-enhanced voice making everyone to head back due to its power. The hero then fiddled with his phone, relaying instructions to activate UA's famed defense gates. The massive barriers rose with a mechanical hum, sealing off the entrance. "Wait, we want more one desperate reporter stammered, lunging forward in a futile bid to slip through. But he was a step too slow. The gates clanged shut, leaving the media horde outside, frustrated and empty-handed. Something newsworthy did happen though. Unbeknownst to all, this commotion had provided the perfect cover for a shadowy figure. Tamura Shigaraki, leader of the League of Villains, slinked through the periphery, his stealth training from All for One serving him well. His pale hands, concealed in gloves to prevent accidental decay, occasionally brushed against security cameras and recording devices, reducing them to dust with a touch. He moved like a ghost, his red eyes gleaming with malice beneath his hood. The intel from his spy had been golden, but why settle for scraps when he could snatch the full feast? Infiltrating the lesson plan section with the help of a driver that looked suspiciously like the one used by our Kamen rider Izuku, he rifled through documents until he found it. The schedule for the unforeseen simulation joint, those bold letters screaming opportunity to cause chaos and perhaps to send an important message. Let's see if my bold moves will force these pathetic heroes to change, he thought, a twisted smile creeping across his cracked lips. He then quietly slipped out, rendezvousing with Kurogyri, who warped them away in a swirl of purple mist. The heroes remained oblivious, their day proceeding as planned. Inside you, the rhythm of academia continued undisturbed. Midnight's class on Heroes Over the Years was a revelation, blending historical depth with her signature allure. Her outfit form-fitting and provocative definitely drew blushes from the boys, but it was her passion for the subject that truly captivated. She delved into pre-Quirk-era archives, resurrecting forgotten tales of pre-Quirk heroes, vigilantes and early Quirk users. Slides flickered across the screen, ancient forums, digitized manuscripts, and grainy photos of heroes long gone. Well, I guess we got educated on what to call Izuku as Karo. Tsu Azui croaked from her seat, her frog-like features unchanging as she voiced her blunt observation. The class chuckled. Tsu's frankness was a constant, like the steady drip of rain. Hantasiro leaned back, his tape-dispensing elbows propped on his desk. The Pre-Quirk Archives forum definitely helped us out. Getting so much cool content back from near extinction is a good thing. I want to see Izuku battle even more than ever. His hero form seems even cooler than it did. His words carried a Spider-Man-inspired enthusiasm, his quirk fueling dreams of web-slinging heroics as well. Izuku, seated near the window, felt the weight of their gazes. Despite his cool exterior, the barrage of questions from his classmates, people he'd grown unexpectedly close to, tested his composure. "Relax, will you? You guys will see me fight." "Just stay calm for now," he replied, his voice steady but laced with a hint of exasperation. Internally, he hoped the next class would match the quality of today's, Maybe a distraction would suffice as well, anything to shift the focus. He still isn't that good at people skills yet. As if on cue, the atmosphere in Class 1A shifted. A mysterious breeze stirred the air, papers rustling on desks, before the door burst open. A booming voice filled the room. Heroes today and of many different years have never had it easy. This is a tough task to commit to, after all. Many of you could have left, yet you all chose to fight for yourselves. And that right there is a sign. It is a beacon that indicates there are future heroes among you, and I hope to help them grow bigger than all of us who are active in this field, in all aspects that are possible. I am All Might, and today, as part of my course, Foundational Hero Studies, we will start battle trials to test and fortify your fighting skills. So everyone, show me your power and prove that you are here. The symbol of peace strode in, his Silver Age costume gleaming a throwback to his golden days, cape billowing dramatically despite the lack of wind. The class erupted. Some fanboyed openly, "That's the Silver Age outfit? So retro." Ijira Kirishima pumped her fist, eyes wide. Others, like Todoroki, sat in silent awe, the weight of All Might's legacy and even his experience pressing upon all of them. Izuku and Neon exchanged glances, impressed by their father's new flair since joining their family. Toshinori Yagi had evolved, blending his heroic persona with paternal warmth. But for the rest, this was their first real encounter with the keystone of modern heroics. "I appreciate your response, young zygotes," All Might boomed, his smile wide. "Now, here are the suitcases with your respective gear. Head to your dressing rooms and meet me at the grounds reserved for today." His voice carried the authority of a top hero, spurring everyone into action. They rushed out, eager to impress or perhaps to earn more lessons from the legend himself. Izuku and Neon reached the grounds first, their hero costumes drawing an emotional response from All Might. Neon's outfit was a masterpiece, a flowing Viridian dress reinforced with armor plating around her chest, arms, and legs. Integrated tech rockets, missiles, tasers. Powered by her half of One for All, which anyways amplified her telekinesis, turning her into a floating arsenal of weapons for the villains to get defeated by. Toshinori's eyes softened. She was a heroine destined for greatness. But Izuku's attire nearly brought tears to his father's eyes. A simple black t-shirt and pants accented with green hints, red sneakers upgraded with Nizu's ingenious silk bulletproof weave, a material that baffled even David Shield. White gloves evoked a rider's grip, the overall look reminiscent of Kamen Rider Black Kotaro Minami, who was the defender of the weak, Kamen Rider Fui's Inui Takumi, who preferred his long-sleeve shirts, jeans. Along with something that Toshinori preferred wearing back in the day. Yet was the long, overflowing jacket with its myriad pockets that stirred memories. It echoed Nana Shimura's casual wear, the mentor who'd fed a young, quirkless Toshinori after grueling training sessions, her laughter a balm for his earnest but now definitely somewhat yearning soul. "I didn't know this jacket had that much value to you, Dad. If you want, I won't wear it today, but it can survive the worst explosions and stuff, so at least it's worth the money now," Izuku joked, trying to lighten the mood and remove the funk that his dad had unfortunately gotten affected by. It's fine, Izuku my son," All Might replied, composing himself. "You and your sister have practical costumes based on your powers, though your particular accessory definitely made me think of my younger days with my master. I hope your classmates will follow suit perfectly." Neon, ever the opportunist, snuck a video on her phone, nice family album material for Mom to add in later. Soon, the class assembled, costumes on display. Some of them were somehow both practical but bulky, like Jiro with her speaker shoes, while some girls like Shoko, Momo, Uraraka, and Mihara, along with some boys like Rikido, did keep adjusting their costumes. Something to look out for, he thought before he surveyed them with pride. Looking good, future heroes. Some of you may need tweaks here and there, but for today's class, we won't focus on that. I'm not the best teacher, I'll admit, so bear with me. Saying that, a script and glasses made an appearance on the hero. No idea how. He then read the script, because he believed that this act of his would definitely help ease them by seeing a joking scenario. Let's continue, is what he said in his mind before following up his initial words with, "There's a bomb in this building you're looking at. Two groups will face off, heroes versus villains. Heroes secure the bomb, villains let it detonate. Teams are decided by slips from this box. Let's get going." Tashinori patted himself on the back internally. Nizu's training had paid off. Students drew slips, commenting on each other's costumes. Uraraka tugged at her skin-tight suit, blushing. "This is a bit much." Momo nodded sympathetically, her own outfit elegant but revealing. Others flexed. Kirishima hardened her skin, grinning. "Manly." Then, after drawing some slips, many different teams were formed like Izuku and Ijira Kirishima versus Katsuki Bakugo and Tenya Ida. Neon and Ochako Uraraka versus Mina Ishido and Yuga Oyama. Momo Yaoyorozu and Hantasiro versus Shoko Todoroki and Rikido Sato. And more, like Tsuyu Azui and Fumikage Tokoyami versus others, balancing power and strategy for everyone involved. The battles promised intrigue, some teams stacked, others evenly matched. What followed was a symphony of quirks, strategy, and sheer willpower. First up, Shoko Todoroki and Rikido Sato as villains, guarding the bomb against Momo Yaoyorozu and Hantasiro as heroes. The arena, a multi-story building replica, echoed with tension. Shoko, expressionless, unleashed a wave of ice, glaciers surging like frozen tsunamis to encase the intruders. "Stay back," she muttered, her left side dormant, relying on her mother's cold quirk. Momo countered swiftly, her creation quirk birthing a high-grade flamethrower from her exposed skin. The created insulated suit protecting her, she melted through the ice, steam billowing like a war zone. "Hanta, cover me," she called before Siro swung in, tape shooting from his elbows like spider silk, wrapping around Sato's massive, sugar-fueled form. Rikido, surprisingly agile despite his bulk, charged like a bull, ripping tape with raw strength. "Not so fast," he roared, muscles bulging from his quirk. Hanta dodged, using mobility to kite and avoid Sato, taping pillars to create barriers. Shoko pressed, ice spears launching, but Momo adapted instantly, creating shields and various countermeasures. The battle teetered ice versus fire, strength versus agility until Momo's ingenuity shone. She crafted an insulated net, electrified with a battery, ensnaring Shoto momentarily. Hanta taped Sato to the floor, and together they touched the bomb. Victory for the heroes, but close, Shoko's restraint. And Sato's power had nearly turned the tide. Next, Neon and Ochako Uraraka as heroes against Mina Ishido and Yuga Aoyama as villains. Neon led with confidence, her telekinesis a force of nature. "Stay close, Ochako. We'll hit them hard." Mina slid across the floor on acid slicks, melting barriers, while Yuga fired naval lasers, sparkling beams cutting through the air. Neon deflected, redirecting lasers back with a wave of her hand, her dress fluttering like a banner of defiance. "Not today, villains," she quipped. Ochako touched debris, making chunks float, then swung her makeshift attack. Her comet home run, using it to keep hurling floating rocks like meteors. Mina dodged, acid countering the assault, but Neon's power overwhelmed, pushing Mina back. Yuga held his ground to the best of his ability, but Uraraka's sheer willpower and tenacity floated him off balance. A combined push secured the bomb. Neon's leadership and Ochako's creativity proved unstoppable. Other skirmishes unfolded. Tsuyu and Tokoyami as heroes used stealth, Tsuyu's tongue lashing for grapples, Dark Shadow emerging in shadows for misdirection. Against their foes. Kyoka Jiro and Mizo Shoji as villains disoriented the hero group with her amplified heartbeats and his multi-arm grapples and punches, but Ojiro and Koda's team countered with martial arts and animal summons. Denki Kaminari and his partner Mihara Mineta faltered. Bickering among the villain group simply allowed Toru Hagikure's invisibility to sneak past them. Her trump card simply shone, securing victory amid chaos. Finally, the climax arrived upon us. Izuku and Ijira Kirishima, heroes, versus Katsuki Bakugo and Tenya Ida, villains. The rivalry reignited, the air crackled with tension. "So, what's the plan, Izubro?" Kirishima asked, hardening her skin, adrenaline surging as she always enjoyed having a fun fight. Explosions rumbled nearby. Izuku's eyes narrowed. Run and keep Tenya occupied. He has speed, but you have unyielding strength. Hold him for long enough and I'll send a gift you will particularly like. Sarcasm dripped as he dashed toward the noise, his flip phone, SS-555D driver materializing instantly in his hand. Bakugo charged, snarling. Shut up, you irritating weakling. I'll beat you now, Deku. His right hook exploded forward. How long will that be your opener, Katsuki? I have places to be. Izuku dodged, grabbing the arm, punching Bakugo's stomach. The blonde doubled over, coughing. Switching his driver to blade mode, he tried swinging his sword towards Katsuki's position but he flew away. What happened, Kaken? Too scared of needles and blades? That tone, that specific way his name got called. He was definitely said and thus, aggressively pressed Izuku. The fight escalated. Bakugo used explosions for smoke screens, blasts propelling him agilely. Izuku, enhanced by one for all, tanked hits, his armored body resilient. You're predictable, Izuku taunted, countering with precise strikes, punches and slightly missed sword swings and photon blasts. Meanwhile, Tenya blitzed Kirishima, engines roaring. But Kirishima hardened, a rocky fortress, forcing Tenya to halt lest he shatter his legs. Manly defense. Kirishima grinned, trading blows in her own way. Time ticked and was nearly over. Bakugo, desperate, unleashed his gauntlet-stored sweat. Wonder if your tin-can armor will survive this, you dumbass. A massive explosion roared toward Izuku. Eyes widening, Izuku activated his driver and typed the required numbers. 555 before he and Katsuki had to face the aftermath of this attack. The blast hit, smoke engulfing. Young Izuku! All Might yelled from the observation room, class frozen in horror. But Izuku emerged in his Kamen Rider suit, his armored arms slamming Bakugo, making him drop to his knees and immediately start coughing. You're lucky I'm armored, you stubborn fool. Anyone else wouldn't survive that excessive attack. I'll stop you now, Katsuki, was what Izuku sternly said before a neck chop knocked Bakugo out. Grabbing the remaining gauntlet, Izuku sped to Kirishima, hurling it skyward, switching to single mode, shooting. Smoke exploded, cover perfect. Bridle carrying Kirishima and touching the bomb led to their victory. That was some gift you ended up delivering. Now, you can put me down, Izaburo. She did not blush, not at all. There is no proof, but she knows that her friend Mina will not be leaving her alone now that they. Post-battle, after seeing that he was okay, Neon and All Might hugged Izuku, then she smacked his head. Just because you can survive doesn't mean you should, Izuku and I. Mom will know about this. Izuku slumped and sat down, far away from the crowd, sitting by himself towards the corner of the room they were in, contemplating the maternal wrath he will have to face. The class sweat dropped sympathetically. You did well, young heroes, All Might praised. Some excelled, others struggled. It's the path to greatness you all are in now. I was once like you, ask for help. Even if you feel embarrassed, only then will you grow. Mr. Aizawa will address some students in particular. You can go home and rest now. Everyone chose to do so, with varied reactions by their home members. Izuku had to dodge the flying pan, as well as many other male students, while some female students had to calm their dads down for various reasons. They dispersed, weary but wiser. The stage is set for future clashes, which are very important. Next time, a deadly meet-up of extremes will occur, one wanting to nurture and one wanting to decay everything. But that's another part of our ever-expanding tale, my dear readers. Dear readers, we've arrived at the moment hinted at in the previous chapter, the Unforeseen Simulation Joint, or USJ, as it's commonly known. This sprawling facility, designed to train heroes in the art of rescue, has already left its mark in this world along with the rest of the multiverse based on this world. It's where we witness the declined but still devastating power of All Might's strength, Aizawa's prowess as a seasoned fighter, and the League of Villains' chilling debut. But as we step into this reimagined tale, expect both familiar echoes and striking differences. Let's dive in and see whether the events unfold as they once did, or take an entirely new course. Izuku Midoriya couldn't shake the nagging sensation in his mind. Was it a headache, or was it the result of his poor sleeping posture the night before? The dull ache pulsed behind his eyes, relentless and distracting. His dreams didn't help vivid, chaotic visions of being tossed around weightlessly, facing insurmountable odds with no clear purpose. To clear his head, he stretched and meditated, focusing on the power coursing through him and his twin sister, Neon, one for all. The legacy of that power weighed heavily on him, a gift and a burden passed down through generations, now resting in their hands. With perhaps both of them and their father sharing a weird history with one half of the creator of this quirk. The shadow of all for one loomed large in his thoughts. That monstrous figure, driven by an obsessive brother complex, had sown chaos across countless lives, including his own. The very idea of such destruction born from twisted desires sent a shiver down Izuku's spine. His father, Toshinori Yagi, had worn a strained expression during a tense conversation with their mother, Inko, whose calm demeanor barely masked the worry in her tearful eyes. She hadn't been this shaken in years. The news that a section of UA High where their family worked and trained had been reduced to rubble by some unknown force didn't help. The incident, described as an unnatural decay, felt like a dark omen hanging over them all. It was no wonder Izuku's custom HUD, a cybernetic interface tied to his quirk, kept flashing warnings, problem, danger. The alerts were vague but persistent, amplifying the dread creeping into his heart and giving him a painful headache to deal with. His thoughts drifted to the tales of the Kamen riders, heroes of old whose stories his father had painstakingly preserved. Toshinori had spent a fortune restoring a single season of Kamen Rider Black on DVD, and Izuku had binged it recently. The protagonist, Kotaro Minami, was a man forged in pain. He had faced unimaginable trials, like seeing his brother literally become someone who wished to end his life, among other such trials, yet he pressed forward with unshakable resolve. Izuku wondered if he could muster that same strength to confront the unease gnawing at him. "There you are, Izuku," came his mother's gentle voice, pulling him from his spiraling thoughts. Inko stood in the doorway of his room, her warm presence a stark contrast to the cold uncertainty gripping him. "Judging by the way you've been staring at the walls, you must have questions about what your father and I had discussed yesterday. We don't know exactly what happened at UA, but I trust the faculty will do everything to keep you and your classmates safe. Believe in them and definitely believe in yourself." She stepped forward and enveloped him in a hug, her love a lifeline pulling him back from the ocean of doubt threatening to drown him. "You're stronger than you know, Izuku. You always have been." Her words worked their magic. Izuku felt the tension in his shoulders ease as he returned her embrace. Breakfast with the family followed, a familiar routine that grounded him further. Neon, Toshinori, and Inko bustled about, preparing for another day at UA. But as they readied to leave, Izuku's doubts resurfaced. "Mom, what if I lose control?" he asked, his voice low, the sarcastic shield he usually wore around strangers nowhere to be found. "It took Dad straining himself to stop me last time I let one for all. Its raw strength definitely made my more animalistic side loose." Inko's expression softened, though a flicker of uncertainty passed through her eyes. "I don't have all the answers, Izuku," she admitted, her tone steady but honest. "But I believe in the power you've inherited from your father and in you. Despite everything you've endured, those horrible experiments, you've held on for us. Just take it one step at a time. That's how we move forward. I learned that the hard way when I nearly burned the house down trying to make your father's and sister's favorite katsudon." She chuckled, lightening the mood before her expression turned serious again. She pointed to his chest. "A hero's heart beats beneath that reactor of yours. Trust it and use your smart brain. You'll pull through. I know you will." She handed him his bag, her smile warm but firm. "Now go, or you'll be stuck with school notes to complete and no time for your shows." "Man, my mom-wife is amazing," Izuku thought, a sentiment echoed by Neon and Toshinori as they piled into the family's pickup truck and headed to UA. The morning classes dragged on a little, filled with lectures on hero protocols and regulations, alongside training to use their quirks in certain ways and in unique and specific situations. To the students of Class 1A, it felt like an eternity of occasional excitement and constant monotony. Their teacher, Shodaizawa, then stood at the front of the room, his perpetually tired eyes scanning the class. "All right, it's time," he announced, his voice cutting through the haze of boredom. "Grab your gear from the suitcases. Some of you will have to make do with gym uniforms. I've already sent a strongly worded message to the designers responsible for the subpar costumes some of you received. Change quickly and meet me at the entrance gates." The students scrambled to comply, excitement replacing their earlier lethargy. Outside, a line of buses awaited, ready to ferry them to their destination. Momo Yaoyorozu and Tenya Ida, the class president and vice president, attempted to organize the seating arrangements, but their plan dissolved when Izuku, exasperated and still nursing his headache, simply sighed and claimed a seat. Neon followed, and the rest of the class fell in line, unwilling to complicate matters further. Izuku didn't dislike Momo or Tenya, he respected their leadership, but the persistent problem. Warnings on his HUD were making him restless and jumpy. He just wanted to sit and clear his mind. Neon, noticing the tension in his expression, shot him a concerned glance before squeezing his hand, making him realize that he has people to believe in. Despite their mother's pep talk, the shadows of unease hadn't fully lifted, but his sister's gesture did help relax a little. "Karo," Tsuyu Azui piped up from a nearby seat, her blunt honesty cutting through the chatter. "If I'm being honest, you two are like All Might in different ways. Neon's got his charisma, but Izuku's got his power. Still, you're both pretty unique." The comments sparked agreement from others on the bus. Denki Kaminari grinned, leaning forward. "Izuku's got that reserved, sarcastic vibe going on. Maybe you could learn a thing or two, Bakugo?" Katsuki Bakugo's eyes narrowed. "Don't make me fry you, you walking power bank," he snapped, though the edge in his voice was more playful than malicious. "But we can't confirm that." The banter continued, lightening the mood as the buses rolled toward their destination. Neon and Mina Ishido's enthusiasm was infectious, their loud exclamations about visiting Universal Studios Japan drawing chuckles from the class. Aizawa quickly corrected them, his tone dry. "This isn't a theme park. The unforeseen simulation joint is designed to train you in rescue operations. A hero far better suited for this than me will brief you." The students' excitement deflated slightly, but their curiosity peaked as they arrived at the USJ. 13, the space hero, greeted them warmly. "Welcome, everyone. My quirk allows me to manipulate space, but my true calling is saving lives. Today, I'll guide you through rescue training." Uraraka's enthusiastic squeal interrupted the speech, her admiration for 13 clear, which made said hero blush a little at such behavior from a fan of hers. But before 13 could compose herself and continue with her speech, a chill ran through the group. Izuku's HUD flared with warnings, and the platform beneath them felt unstable. Purple, misty portals materialized across the facility, spitting out a horde of menacing figures. These were no actors or training bots, they were real villains with harmful intentions in mind. "Stay sharp," Aizawa barked, his exhaustion replaced by steely resolve. "I've sent a signal to UA, but it might have been intercepted. One of you needs to get out and deliver a message to the faculty. This is not a drill, these are real villains." The students froze as a figure emerged from the largest portal. "Greetings, young heroes," said a man wreathed in mist, his voice calm but menacing. "I am Kurojairi. My talents ensure our message will be delivered without interference." Before anyone could react, portals swirled open, scattering the students across the USJ's various zones. Bakugo and Shoko Todoroki lunged at Kurojairi, but their attacks passed through his misty form before they too got teleported away from each other. The battle of the USJ had most definitely begun. The Central Plaza. Shodaizawa often questioned his decision to teach at UA. He did meet annoying but reliable people, which includes his wife as well, but the job put his life at risk far more often than his nightly patrols as an underground hero. Just as a swarm of villains closed in, he pushed those thoughts aside. Numbers meant nothing to him, not when he had his quirk and years of experience. With a predatory grin that froze a portion of the crowd in fear, Aizawa activated his quirk. His eyes glowed red, his hair rose, and his capture scarf woven with Principal Nizu's advanced technology lashed out like a living weapon. He moved like a demon, a blur of controlled chaos, dismantling the villains with ruthless efficiency, since they did lose their quirks after all. His only hope was that his students were holding their own. Near the entrance gates of Yusei, 13, Uraraka, Tenya, Shoji, Ojiro, and Siro faced a wave of villains led by Kurogiri. Despite the teleporter's portals, the group held their ground. Shoji's enhanced senses tracked enemy movements with precision, Siro's tape ensnared foes just as quickly as they arrived, while Ojiro and Tenya delivered precise strikes. Uraraka's gravity manipulation threw villains off balance, creating openings for all of her currently gathered allies. We're holding them off, but we need to get a message to UA. 13 shouted, her fingers unleashing controlled black hole attacks to counter Kurogiri's portals. Ojiro, Shoji, Siro, Uraraka clear a path for Tenya to run and get us back up. Tenya hesitated, his sense of duty warring with his fear. Wouldn't that be cowardly? My family has always served as heroes and, while that may explain your formal behavior, there's no time for that, Tenya-kun. Uraraka interrupted, her voice firm. We need your speed. Go now. Shoji took charge. Ojiro, Siro, and I will hold the line. Uraraka, support Tenya, is what he said before they surged toward the exit, dodging portals and villains. Kurogiri's calm facade cracked as he unleashed a massive portal, only for 13 to counter it with a burst of her quirk. Pressing a button on her suit, which led to the hero shedding her bulky astronaut suit for a sleeker bodysuit, she gained agility and engaged Kurogiri in a fierce duel, their clash tearing up the ground and distracting some of Aizawa's opponents in the central plaza. I'll get help. Tenya was conflicted before, but he composed himself and loudly shouted, his leg engines roaring as Uraraka's quirk lightened his gravity. He became a silver and blue blur, weaving through villains and racing toward UA. Witnesses later described seeing a streak of light chased by a mob of goons. Hold on, everyone, the group thought, their hope pinned on Tenya's speed while they continued to keep the doors open. The mountain zone. Kyokujiro ducked as a villain's clumsy strike missed her. That better be the last one, she muttered, her earphone jacks twitching for any sign of danger. Denki Kaminari, still buzzing from his electric shocks, grinned. My attacks are working, but what's next, class prez? Momo, ever composed, was crafting a device from her quirk. We need to regroup. I'm making a communicator to contact the others. Before she could finish, Denki shouted, watch out. He shoved Momo and Jiro aside as a villainess lunged, her fists crackling with energy. Move, kid, she snarled. You're not the only one with sparks. Denki retorted, unleashing his 1,000,000-volt release. The shock incapacitated the villainess, but the recoil left Denki dazed, his brain short-circuiting. Momo quickly created an insulating shield to protect herself and Jiro. Denki overloaded himself, Jiro said, exasperated but concerned. Let's head to the central plaza or the entrance. We need to regroup immediately. The shipwreck zone. Tsuyu Azui stirred, groggy and disoriented. Mihara-han, where are we? She croaked. Mihara, pale and trembling, gestured to the water around them. Some kind of lake, I believe. There's a boat nearby, let's move. They reached the boat to find Neon and Rikido Sato fending off villains. Neon's telekinesis hurled enemies into the water, while Rikido's sugar-fueled strength delivered crushing blows. Good to see you, Neon called, grinning despite the chaos. Mihara's voice trembled. How does this even happen? I just wanted to be a hero, not fight lunatics. Focus, Mihara, Tsuyu said firmly. Neon, Rikido, can you keep fighting? Neon nodded. Tsuyu's is strongest near water. Perhaps we can use that to our advantage, since these schmucks don't know about that. Rikido agreed. Mihara's bounce quirk and Tsuyu's jumping strength could turn the tide. Their plan came together swiftly. As villains closed in, Rikido punched a hole in the boat, and Neon unleashed a psychic storm, creating massive waves that scattered the enemies. Tsuyu and Mihara used their quirks to leap and bounce high, escaping the sinking vessel. Mihara's quirk ensnared several villains because of the water cyclone created by Neon's attack, though her wandering hands earned her a sharp tongue lashing from Tsuyu. Landing roughly, they faced more villains but stood ready to fight, their resolve hardened. The landslide zone. Shoko Todoroki moved with lethal precision, freezing villains and impaling others with ice spears. Trained by her father, Endeavor, combat was second nature, though it also stirred memories of pain she'd rather forget in a heartbeat. Toru Hagakure, Mina Ashido, and Yuga Aoyama fought alongside her, their quirks invisibility, acid, and dazzling lasers forming a chaotic but effective team. Ease up on the ice, Shoko. Mina teased. We're not popsicles yet, nor do we want to become that. Shoko nodded, her expression softening slightly as she apologized for her actions. She turned to a captured villain, her voice cold. Talk or you'll freeze. The villains spilled their plan, to kill All Might. The words hit the group like a blow, fueling their determination to regroup and fight back. The fire zone. Katsuki Bakugo reveled in the chaos, his explosions tearing through villains who tried to corner him. You want to kill All Might? He growled, interrogating a defeated grunt. You're dumber than you look. A swift chop to the neck silenced the villain, and Bakugo moved on, searching for more foes or a strategic vantage point. Maybe he can think about any weakness that teleporting BSTRD might possess. The Windstorm Zone. Fumikage Tokoyami and Ijira Kirishima fought in sync, dark shadows slashing through enemies while Kirishima's hardened fists and spear-like strikes kept villains at bay. This banquet of darkness, while I may have enjoyed its earliest iteration, is getting old, Tokoyami muttered. Kirishima spotted a communicator among the wreckage. Think we can use this to contact the others? Tokoyami nodded, and Kirishima broadcast a message. Static crackled, then a voice broke through Izuku's, uncharacteristically serious but having some sarcasm in it. Residential bike owner speaking. If anyone can hear me, head to the USJ entrance or Central Plaza. We'll make a plan to either fight or escape. I'm sure Momo might have made a communication device in order to check for any helpful frequency. Spread my current words that I'm moving out to fight. I didn't know he has a bike. Wonder if he will let me ride. She immediately stopped that spoken aloud thought as she saw Tokoyami looking at her with a look that said, "That's what you are focusing on." Clearing her throat, Ijira said while heavily grinning, "You heard him. Let's go, Tokoyami bro." And with that both her and Tokoyami started heading off to where Izuku has currently told them to meet. On the other hand, Momo's group picked up the signal, listened to our current writer's message, and this group of scattered heroes began converging, ready to face whatever awaited. They did hope that the others could hear it as well, since she made her communicator in the style of a loudspeaker. With this, my dear readers, this marks the end of our first reintroduction to the USJ battle. Expect more action, revelations, and echoes of the Kamen Rider legacy to reappear, perhaps even drawing from the iconic Kamen Rider Ichigo or its gritty 2023 reboot film, Shin Kamen Rider. Brace yourselves for what lies ahead. It might end up surprising and shocking you. It's been quite a dangerous battle for most of our fledgling heroes, my dear readers. The USJ incident has pushed them to their limits, forging them in fire far too soon, but they must endure just a little longer. The emotional toll is mounting, fear keeps gripping everyone's hearts, their bonds keep getting tested, and their futures are hanging by a thread. For now, comes the end of this siege, but at what cost to their souls? The Central Plaza. Aizawa panted heavily, his breaths ragged and labored, the exhaustion from yesterday's night patrols clawing at his edges like a relentless shadow. He'd restrained and knocked out wave after wave of villains through sheer grit and underground savvy, but each victory chipped away at his resolve. These kids, they're not ready for this. This situation is way too illogical for anyone to handle, he thought desperately, his mind flashing to the wide-eyed faces of Class 1, innocent and unscarred. He couldn't let them down, not now, not ever. That's one amazing show you've given us, Eraserhead. You definitely proved to me that you can be called a mini-boss of this region. The video game-loving, blue-haired teenager sneered from beside his teleporter, his words laced with mocking glee, deliberately loud enough to pierce not just Aizawa's ears, but his frayed nerves as well. You lot sure are bold. What do you want to prove by doing this? Aizawa growled, forcing himself to engage, his voice steady despite the storm of worry brewing inside. Buy time. Get intel. Protect them. Nothing much. I hate many things in my life. Chief among them is this society you all help perpetuate and maintain this society of absolute fakeness and evil. I act like this, sure, but I never wanted to be whatever I am now, Eraser. This community and country helped make me this malicious and horrendous, the teen proclaimed, his voice cracking with a manic edge laced with raw, palpable sadness, a twisted cry for something lost. Aizawa's heart twisted. Beneath the villainy, he sensed a broken soul, but pity couldn't override his duty. And then what now? What will you be doing next? Most of your group is out. Just give it up, will you? Aizawa urged, his words a desperate plea masked as logic. If I take the hits, they survive. That's all that matters to him right now. You are not who I was targeting. All Might is the real trump card I wanted. Decay until nothing remains, not even his physical self nor his expansive and well-crafted heroic legacy. Him doing everything that he has done for so long will lead to the downfall of it all. I'm someone who just wants to speed that process up. The odd-looking teen hissed, his body adorned with eerie, grasping hands that seemed to whisper of untold traumas. Aizawa ignored the chill they sent down his spine, focusing instead on the fight ahead. Activating his quirk, eyes blazing red, Aizawa lunged, erasing the teen's decay ability mid-motion. But before his punch could land, the grotesque gray and black-beaked Nomu exploded into his path like a nightmare incarnate, its impact slamming into Aizawa's chest with bone-crushing force. He crashed to the ground, agony exploding through his body, vision blurring as he tasted blood. Get up. For them. Get up. Before he could try it out, his head was caught and repeatedly bashed into the ground. Then, said teenager immediately landed next to where he was then say down, as if this was a walk in the park, before he chose to continue speaking his thoughts. Aizawa rolled aside just in time, the Nomu's stomp fracturing the concrete where his head had been moments ago. Heart pounding with a mix of fear and fury, he created distance, his mind racing. This thing that it's not human. No quirk that I can fully erase, maybe it's all brute force. Then, the beast charged, fists swinging in devastating arcs that howled through the air. Aizawa dodged with acrobatic precision yet tinged with extreme pain, his capture weapon whipping out to snare an arm, yanking hard but the Nomu's raw power shredded the bindings. It countered with a savage backhand that tore across Aizawa's shoulder, fabric ripping, skin splitting, hot blood soaking his shirt. Pain screamed through him, but he bit it back, activating his quirk again. The Noma didn't falter, its beaked maw snarling as it lunged. Aizawa feinted left, driving a knee into its gut, but only for it to absorb the blow like a sponge and retaliate with a headbutt that stars burst in his eyes. Even more blood streamed from his forehead, mixing with sweat, his breaths coming in gasps. I can't fall here. These kids that they need me. Principal Nizu's cabin. While you might be near your prime again, Toshinori, always choosing to rush into danger when there are other heroes out there isn't going to help anyone, Nizu admonished gently, his keen eyes piercing through All Might's facade of invincibility. Toshinori shifted uncomfortably, guilt gnawing at him like an old wound. I would not have originally interfered, Principal, but the villain was the Tartarus escapee trapezius headgear. The other heroes did their best to contain his rampage, but very few could counter his strength. That's why I tried fighting him, is what he explained his rationale in performing the actions that he did today. That along with all your other attempts everywhere on your route to UA has once again made you nearly reach your daily time limit. Thank your lucky stars that David and your family have healed you back to at least 80% of your original power. Try, or rather, make sure that you don't do this again. You did promise that your experiences and skills will be excellently taught to these younger generations of heroes as well, Toshinori. Remember that. Nizu once more reminded him of his duties, and All Might bowed back as well, his own way of apologizing. But soon, they heard some alarms and there definitely was movement that the two of them could hear before the door was kicked open by Midnight and present Mike, holding the younger brother of Tensei Ida, Tenya, he himself looking like he escaped from the jaws of impending death. Young Tenya, are you okay? He quickly transformed into his hero form before sitting the severely exhausted young man into the cabin sofa. USJ.INV odd my friends figure ting. 4. Life. Pelia, SE, LP, was what he said. Desperately gasping for as much oxygen as he could, having rushed to deliver this important message while having fought many different villains along the way. Those words made the room's atmosphere drop, with Nizu wondering as to which trick or quirk they must have used to not trip his all-encompassing alarms, while he quickly clicked buttons that would automatically tell students to head home because of an emergency, thanks to his well-prepared programming, while asking other staff members to be prepared for the worst. However, one very suffocating aura made its first ever appearance. That being an extremely set off All Might. Young Tenya, I apologize for not being there when needed. Though I was not supposed to teach today at the USJ, my name has brought harm to yourself and your friends. Nizu, take care of him and bring the rest of the hero and police backup that are required right now. I will set things right, is what he stated in his no-nonsense tone, one that is reserved only for some of the worst situations possible. And with a sound barrier destroying dash, he quickly headed out of UA, his time limit being met. He does not mind if he has to fight next to unbeatable odds and while being restricted, but to target those who didn't even gain that experience. None of them shall survive. Those were some of his thoughts as he rushed, hoping to keep his students, his UA colleagues and children safe. The ruins zone. Izuku chose to break the remaining group of villains with a stinging shot from his SB-555D driver. All of said targeted grunts were left crumpled to a heap. I did deliver some instructions, hopefully, everyone followed it. Now, let's call for some backup of my own, is what he said before entering a few numbers on his driver which led to it announcing the statement, Auto Vagin Rollout, and he wondered as to how long it might take for his bike to reach him. Choosing to gain a bigger vantage point, he quickly headed over to the mountain zone and saw that some villains had gotten up once more to delay him. After he deals with this, that he might even pull off something that many different writers have done in their past, at least from one of the shows he was able to watch and make this judgment from. Near the entrance gates, Uraraka, Ojiro and Hanta were slowly inching forward, wishing that many of their classmates might finally have arrived at their point of meeting. They have been fighting for a while, and some amount of exhaustion has started to become one with their body and soul, but they choose to continue staying aware, lest their moment of weakness ends up costing them dearly. Watch out! Shoji screamed just a little late as his extra I was not able to see the laser shot coming, but before it could hit their group, a Viridian psychic storm immediately enveloped them in a gentle manner, while stopping that shot from hitting them. Finally, I get to see the faces of my classmates. Is our ticket out of here secured? Is what one tired and wanting to leave this awful place thought-possessing Neon chose to say, genuinely moving in a manner that did show signs of her falling down to her knees in exhaustion. We're still down on a few people. MS-13 was hit by that teleporting dude's portal, but luckily, she chose to use her suit inflate motion in time. Unfortunately, she is knocked out thanks to that attack's impact, and we still have to get Aizawa-sensei back as well, is what Ochako and Hanta choose to say. Wait, that were some of the words that a terrified Mihara chose not to speak, because seeing the injured and frankly speaking, horribly scarred Shota Aizawa Eraserhead definitely ended their resolve. He looked like he had fought through nearly all rings of hell that might exist. Ah, they're the people I wanted to make a message out of. In all my excitement, I did forget to tell you all our names. I'm Tamura Shiragaki, future destroyer of this cancerous country. This is my ride to freedom. Mr. Kurojairi and we, at least for now, are the villains who want change. The named teenager theatrically addressed all of them, while the others quickly got to remembering these names down. Maybe someone might get some information out of this reveal. And this here is my all-might killing machine, aptly named the Nomo. Don't try to fight it, all of you would not be capable enough of doing so. Surrender and pray that I don't. Decay you where you stand, Tamura said, his originally childish tone gaining an insanely evil edge to it, like him saying whatever he said is something that is nothing more than a boring pastime to him. Well, I do know that one speedy NPC chose the escape route and backup will be arriving any moment. Since you lot have arrived before me, how about I let the number one have just one emotion on his mind? Were the last words he says before suddenly vanishing. His unhealthy body didn't betray the fact that he definitely has trained a little under his teacher-villain mentor. But before the group having Ochako, Mihara, Hanta, Ojiro and Rikido could get hurt by his power, Neon drew out some of the most powerful psychic lightning that she could make at that moment, and then fully unleashed its strength at Tamura, while said boy got sent flying before Kurogiri made a portal to make him land near the ground, his body filled with steam, scratches with blood starting to leak from. He gets up a little slowly, his demeanor is one filled with anger but curiosity as well, while Neon bleeds from her nose before fully collapsing. That last attack took her out completely. Didn't know there was one mini-boss around here. We'll keep that in mind, is what he says before ordering the Nomu to attack the remaining group members while pulling out a tool that looked suspiciously similar to the one used by Izuku as well. The entire group then ran, trying their level best to dodge the photon shots as well as the rampaging monster that is the Nomu. They did end up getting cornered, and just before said dual villains could turn this trip to the USJ into an utter tragedy. One large ice spike followed by a cannon shot destroyed the body of the Nomu as well as the subsequent air flow made both it and Tamura to fly far away from this group. Everyone, we're sorry for not arriving as fast as we could. The paths we took to reach here still had many villains standing and taking them out definitely took way too much time, the leading class president Momo Yayorozu said, wanting to keep everyone calm. Seeing the bad state that Neon was in, she quickly made some bandages and a hot water pack to keep on her head, asking Tsuyu if she and her group could take care of their classmates, which they agreed to do without hesitation. This is getting irritating. Why are there so many of you here, again? I swear Kurogiri, if you didn't have your powers, you would be dead, is what an irritated Tamura said, which made our teleporter reply with, whatever you say, Tamura. You know I'm still needed, surprisingly having some sass in his voice as well. Before Kurogiri could get to separating everyone once more, a large explosion followed by some spiky punches and total immobilization thanks to the power of Dark Shadow definitely hindered Tamura. So, that you're the ugly dude wanting to kill All Might? What a ridiculous joke. If I explode this collar of your fancy butler, it's lights out for both him and you, stated our ever-aggressive grenadier Katsuki Bakugo. Enough. Nomu, end it all, he said once more while the well-heeled abomination rushed all of them once again, definitely displacing the groups once more. Just before anything else could happen, the doors literally were ripped off from their hinges. Luckily the group nearest to that location quickly held onto something in order to prevent themselves from gaining an unexpected flight. On seeing the exhausted and desperate faces of his students alongside the fact that his child, Neon, was out cold while bleeding alongside his son, Izuku still being missing, Toshinori saw red. No longer having his ever-present smile, ripping off his jacket as well as his necktie, his scowling face made everyone take at least 4 steps back, Katsuki included, and he was not scared of anything out there. It took me way too much time, my dear students. Rest now, for I am here to end this farce, All Might said very loudly before just vanishing from everyone's sight and delivering a punch to the Nomu that made him crash land near the ruin zone. Finally, the last boss is here. You and your symbol have allowed this injurious mindset to seep itself deep into society's psyche. We will end. Shut it, villain. I don't care about you and your opinions. A seriously set off All Might said, interrupting whatever it is that the multiple hand-possessing teen wanted to say before rushing at the Nomu once more. He immediately started with his trusty Detroit smash, which the Nomu tanked before delivering some devastating punches of its own. All Might took it head-on before delivering some lethal punches, kicks and then one swift judo takedown, but before he could continue with his amazing fight choreography he immediately started clutching his side, which was being tightly pressed by a misty purple hand coming out of a portal. While he was healed back to being somewhere near his prime days, but according to David, that pain, which he has gained thanks to his battle with All for One, would reappear if he got hit by any villain near that region. Realizing that he is being trapped by this mysterious teleporter, the young heroes choose to help All Might as well. Shoko unleashed a large ice barrage that fully enclosed one side of the rampaging Nomu, Bakugo and Ijira, rushing Kurogiri before being held down by the duo and members like Ojiro, Shoji and the like, while Shigaraki tried to attack them, but he immediately started floating thanks to Ochako immediately utilizing her quirk, while Hanta tried tying him in a manner where his hands wouldn't be able to use his potent quirk. It was a losing effort on his side, but he was willing to keep it up for as long as possible. All Might then and there understood what Nizu was trying to explain to him. These younger hero generations are prepared, this batch even more than some of the others. He will have to pull his weight and make them into something more. I thank you once again, class. Just hold him for a little while more, I will end this. For good, was the instructions he chose to deliver, and with that, the number one hero went to fight once more. Realizing that he was once again at a disadvantage, Tamura ordered his Nomu to ignore All Might and focus on the kids, with him punching the hero some distance away and just before he could attack those who were guarding a resting Neon. A literal robot. Or is it some sort of bike? Was what everyone got confused by before it immediately started firing large and dense photon energy rounds. Some even started to slow down the attacks being delivered by the experiment that is the Nomu, before it landed near the mountain zone. Alongside was Izuku, who was no longer making any noise, just surveying the battlefield. His body language, as well as his face, was completely unreadable to everyone present. Standing by were the key words that suddenly made everyone feel just a little bit safe, before a suffocating aura even worse than the one All Might had just displayed, started to permeate everywhere. This made everyone nearly choke in fear of whatever might happen next. Izuku had to fight some more villains who were trying to hold him back for as long as they could, but now, seeing the conditions of his classmates, of his dad, teachers and that of his sister, he let out a blood-curdling scream and slowly displayed his animalistic wolf or Fnock side, something that he has never unleashed in oh so long. This shocked everyone, since they only knew him to possess a simple armor-type quirk, but this side of his definitely helped to increase the doubts that started to grow in their minds. Tamura, your end. Will come from my hands. Rider. Henshin. Even while saying all this, everyone could see that Izuku was slowly but surely losing himself, even screaming rather than calmly saying his suit activation words. Heck, even his normal method of posing was lost, his rage making him forget about any sense of rationality. Complete, was what his driver announced. Then his suit formed around him, he flicked his wrist and instantly arrived near the Nomu's location before kicking it far away from him and his dad. Everyone could definitely see multiple lightning streaks arrive from Izuku's suit, along with some sort of heavy whirring noises. Nobody knows that he is augmented and right now, his reactor core has kicked into overdrive. Frankly speaking, there's a lot that they don't know about him, and everything that he keeps revealing just confuses them even more. Help me out, All Might. His father definitely got concerned after hearing the aggressive tone in his words and tone, but the hero chose to comply for now, preferring to keep everyone safe. With that, the father-son duo went and instantly started to dominate their target. Their speed became something that required special glasses in order to see them, which Momo provided. A quick punch, one very painful kick, multiple suplexes, overhead throws, a slash and multiple photon bursts via his driver, slowly but surely made even this grotesquely engineered creature to immediately start slowing down, before All Might caught him and lifted him into the air thanks to a Texas smash that was aimed at his head, its weakest point. There will be no saving you. Begone, was what Izuku said before. Opening his belt, punching the enter button which allowed the exceed charge announcement to arrive again before a red cone caught the creature and made it unable to escape. He quickly grit his teeth, since he was going above his normal 30% limit, even exceeding it. Rider kick. Izuku screamed as he disappeared, then instantly reappeared once more, making the devastating Frankenstein-inspired experiment to meet his end along with a large phi symbol to arrive and hover just above the ashes of the fallen Nomu. How is that even possible? Tamura Shiragaki screamed in disbelief, before he chose to calm himself down, formulating about the ideas and questions he wanted to ask his mentor. I suppose I'll need to look into more ways of information gathering. Kurogiri, let's try escaping, is what he says while using his own driver to hit Uraraka and Hanta, injuring the two of them. All Might chose to stop him. But before he could, a large number of the police force as well as almost all UA-employed pro-heroes immediately arrived, with Snipe quickly using his bullets to quell Tamura down, by literally shooting taser bullets in him. This did irritate and hurt the Decay quirk holder very much. Until next time, heroes. Lady Luck, she is on your side for now, but she will turn on you and thereafter, the days of ruin will be arriving pretty soon. Watch your back, is what he and Kurogyri say before unleashing an extremely powerful flashbang and smoke grenade combo that immediately made everyone close their eyes to lest the itchiness this mix started releasing in the air affect their eyes. Cementos instantly raised some pillars of his own before creating a structure that stopped this spread from reaching everywhere. As for Izuku, he screamed even more, genuinely frustrated at the current turn of events. His rampage would have become something that required his dad to fill in and stop him, until Neon immediately got up and hugged him, having finally recovered from her overexertion. This wouldn't have been enough to stop him, but Toshinori quickly headed to his side and chopped his neck, knocking him out without anyone being able to notice it. He then chose to quickly head out, his own time limit having definitely ended right now along with his secret being revealed almost instantly. Luckily, Cementos helped him out once more by raising a large pillar to cover him. He headed out not before asking some officers to bring Police Chief Tsuragami and Detective Tsukachi, his trusted friends of the police force. They had their own thoughts to tell as well. Oof. Looks like the cat's out of the bag, Toshinori. How will you explain parts of your story properly when all of it sounds surreal? Were his views, something which even made his lie detector quirk possessing friend, Tsukachi to nod in agreement. We'll figure it out. Let's focus on taking everyone who has been injured, Aizawa being chief among them. I do have a proposal to give to Nizu, let's see if he'll agree or not, is what he says before taking one last look at the forever changed class of 1A. Izuku definitely having some of his Orphnox side still struggling to come out, but eventually, the whole class tried to calm him down. Ambulances arrived to treat anyone injured still, while the rest of the police force split themselves, some arresting many of the villains left behind, while some politely questioned the exhausted heroes, noting down some important information to cross-examine, but not overly grilling them out. The rest of the UA staff checked and asked if anyone was either left behind or still injured, Nizu participating in this as well, before they all chose to leave at the USJ. They might not have predicted this, but the winds of destiny and change are starting to gather. Who knows what effect and danger they might bring with them. Things will be much different when you choose to continue watching the adventures of these heroes, my dear readers. They will have to face many different situations once more. It's gonna be a festival to watch. The dust has settled after the harrowing events of the USJ arc, dear readers, but the echoes of that chaos still reverberate through UA High. Some threads of this timeline diverged from the main continuity, while others held steadfast. Now, our heroes must navigate the aftermath, forging new paths to confront the challenges ahead. Let's see how they rise to fight back against the darkness looming over them. Principal Nizu's cabin. The air in Principal Nizu's office was thick with a miasma of emotions, anger, pain, and a simmering thirst for retribution. Yet, the faculty sat in disciplined silence, their restraint a testament to their respect for their leader. Nizu, typically the epitome of calm, sat at his desk, his usual cup of tea conspicuously absent. Its shattered remnants lay scattered across the floor, a silent testament to the turmoil that had pierced even his composed demeanor. Never in my tenure as principal of this esteemed institution did I anticipate such chaos, Nizu began, his voice low but laced with an edge that sent shivers through the room. The coordinated attack on both Class 1A and 1B at the USJ is an unacceptable breach. I am rattled, truly rattled for the first time in years. I need your best ideas, and I need them now. The faculty exchanged uneasy glances. Nizu's admission of vulnerability was as rare as it was unsettling. Toshinori Yagi, better known as All Might, steeled himself and stepped forward, undeterred by the ominous aura radiating from his superior. I have a proposal, Principal Nizu, he said, his voice steady despite the weight of the moment. We should transform UA into a boarding school. A dormitory system would allow us to keep our students closer, fostering stronger bonds while enabling us to monitor and protect them more effectively. It's a proactive step to prevent another tragedy. Toshinori paused, a flicker of doubt crossing his mind. It sounded better in my head, he thought, bracing for Nizu's response. To his relief, the principal's eyes gleamed with approval. An excellent suggestion, All Might, Nizu said, his tone softening slightly. A dormitory system could indeed fortify our defenses and nurture our students' growth. However, we must proceed with caution. The USJ incident has already sparked public concern, and another misstep could have dire consequences for all of us. His gaze swept over the room, lingering on each faculty member, except for the absent Aizawa and Kan, who were still recovering from their injuries. Some heads may roll if we fail again. Midnight, ever the voice of pragmatism, spoke up. I'll work with Present Mike to manage the public narrative and rally support from the students' parents. The transition to a dormitory system won't be immediate, but after the annual sports festival, we should have the momentum to implement it smoothly. Her media-savvy instincts were already at work, calculating how to spin this crisis into an opportunity. Nizu nodded, his expression unreadable. Very well. Classes will resume as normal with mandatory counseling sessions for all students. Recovery Girl and Hound Dog will oversee their emotional well-being. We cannot afford to let this trauma fester. With that, the meeting adjourned, leaving the faculty to grapple with the weight of their responsibilities. The path forward was uncertain, but UA's resolve to protect its students burned brighter than ever. Class 1. The classroom of 1A buzzed with a tentative energy. The USJ incident had forged an unspoken bond among the students, yet the weight of their shared trauma lingered. Mihara Mineta, typically reserved despite her quirky demeanor, surprised everyone by standing up, her voice soft but determined. At this point, we've definitely went through one seriously unique event. How about a reintroduction? Since we definitely didn't get the chance to do it before. We can consider this as a fresh start, Mihara of all people said, with many noticing that even though she may sometimes behave in a perverted manner, she still is pretty shy and respectful, all things considered. Her suggestion was met with nods of agreement. The class needed this a moment to reconnect and rebuild. Tenya Ida, ever the model of DS9, was the first to take the floor. I am Tenya Ida, brother of the pro-hero Ingenium, he declared, his voice resonant with pride. My family has upheld a heroic legacy in Japan for generations. I enjoy track events, reading, and perhaps learning new things from all of you. His openness earned a round of polite applause, his willingness to adapt softening his usually rigid demeanor. Momo Yayarozu followed, her poise impeccable yet tinged with vulnerability. I'm Momo Yayarozu, heir to the Yayarozu family. My family's enterprises are well known, but I chose the path of a hero to carve my own legacy, using my quirk in ways that defy tradition. I enjoy reading, fine dining, and simple, heartfelt conversations with friends. Her eyes sparkled with a mix of warmth and small amounts of melancholy, a detail not lost on Izuku Yagi. He sensed a quiet sadness in her voice but chose not to pry, respecting her unspoken boundaries. Next came our friendly and manly lady, her infectious energy lighting up the room. I'm Ijira Kirishima, lover of all things manly. I used to struggle with self-esteem, but the hero Crimson Riot inspired me to become a hero. I love boxing and hitting the gym. Her enthusiasm was contagious, earning grins from her classmates. The girl with dark-colored eyes and pointy horns bounced up next, her grin as vibrant as her pink skin. Amina Ishido, Kirishima's awesome alien bestie. She became a hero partly because of me. Long story short, she protected me during a villain attack on our street. It was so cool watching her quirk awaken. I love dancing, gossiping, and who knows what else. Her playful ambiguity drew chuckles from the class. Mihara Mineta hesitated before speaking, her voice quieter than the others. I'm Mihara Mineta. My reason for becoming a hero is complicated. I'm not sure I can explain it fully, but I promise to support all of you with everything I've got. Her words carried a weight that silenced the room. Her classmates exchanged glances but respected her privacy, sensing the depth of her unspoken story. Rikido Sato and Hantashiro took the stage together, their camaraderie evident. I'm Rikido Sato, and this is my best friend, Hantashiro, Sato said, clapping Shiro on the shoulder. Our families go way back. His parents are farmers, mine are cooks. It's a killer combo, and I hope you'll all enjoy my baking someday. Shiro chimed in, I'm all about agility and flexibility. Come to me if you want tips on how to start moving like a parkour pro. Doing that particular activity does help a lot, surprisingly. Katsuki Bakugo's introduction was predictably explosive. I'm Katsuki Bakugo, the future #1 hero. Don't expect free autographs or merch from me. I like cooking and endurance marathons, so keep up if you can. His brash confidence elicited a mix of amusement and respect. He's rough, but there's a human side to him, the class thought. Yuga Aoyama dazzled the room quite literally. J. Amapel Yuga Aoyama, the most sparkling student at UA. I adore my collection of cheeses, medieval armor, and all things fabulous. Let's be dazzling friends. His theatrics blinded a few classmates, but his charm was undeniable. Tsuyu Ajui's introduction was succinct and frank, just like the girl herself. Karo. I'm Tsuyu Ajui. My frog-like biology makes me love swimming, biology, and research. I hope we get along. Her straightforwardness was refreshing, earning nods of approval. Denki Kaminari brought a jolt of energy. I'm Denki Kaminari, UA's resident thunderstorm. I'm into anime, movies, and messing around with VFX and CGI tools. Let's make some epic memories. His enthusiasm sparked curiosity about his creative potential. Ochako Uraraka's bubbly personality shone through. I'm Ochako Uraraka, the girl who can revoke your ground privileges. I'm great at math, so hit me up for help with calculations. Let's make this year amazing. Her infectious optimism rallied the class. Masahiro Ojiro spoke with quiet confidence. I'm Masahiro Ojiro. My tail gives me a stable base, which I've used to master various combat arts. If you want to train, especially in terms of combat techniques and experimentation in your fight styles, I'm your guy. Let's get along. Several students mentally noted his offer, eager to improve their skills post-UV. Fumikage Tokoyami's introduction was cryptic yet compelling. I am Fumikage Tokoyami, accompanied by my quirk, Dark Shadow. We are harbingers of darkness, yet we will use our strength for a variety of reasons such as the protection of innocence as well to participate victorious banquets, celebrations, and bonds of friendship. His poetic words puzzled some but resonated deeply with others. Mizo Shoji's speech, however, definitely struck a chord. I'm Mizo Shoji. I wear this mask for personal reasons, not to act cool or mysterious. I became a hero to challenge prejudices against those with unique quirks and body structure changes that might have occurred due to these quirks. Let's be friends. His vulnerability moved Mina and Tsuyu to tears, who understood his address topics, and they enveloped him in a heartfelt hug, a gesture echoed by others. Toru Hagikure's enthusiasm was highly infectious. I'm Toru Hagikure, the invisible girl. My quirk makes me sneaky, but I love loud experiences like karaoke, partying, and more. Let's have some fun. Her energy inspired plans for a class karaoke night, someday or the other. Shoko Todoroki's introduction was cold and direct. I'm Shoko Todoroki. You know my father and my quirk. I'll only use my ice powers as I need to master my other half. I'm not here for friends. To becoming #1 is my only goal while I'm here. Her words ignited a spark of rivalry in Katsuki, but Izuku's stern glance silenced his retort. Something deeper was at play, and Katsuki sensed it and chose to calm himself down. Kyokajiro's passion was evident. I'm Kyokajiro. My parents are musicians, and I've trained to play the guitar. I considered a music career, but they inspired me to use my quirk to help others. Let's see where this journey takes us all. Fans of her parents bombarded her with questions, which she answered with a shy smile. Neon Yagi, one half of the Yagi twins, spoke with confidence. I'm Neon Yagi. My quirk lets me float, summon thunderstorms, and more. I love flying, bird watching, and modeling in my free time. Let's be friends. Her charisma drew warm responses, expanding her growing circle. Finally, it was Izuku Yagi's turn. The room fell silent as the reborn Kamen rider stood, his mechanical whirring faintly audible. "Do you want the full story or the short version?" he asked, hoping for the latter. The class, curious and empathetic, chose the former. Tsuyu spoke up, her voice gentle. "Karo, we'd like to know more about you, Izuku. Your body language is hard to read, but if it's too sensitive, we understand." Izuku sighed, his emerald eyes reflecting a storm of memories. Maybe they'll be different, he thought. "Fine. Don't cry too hard after I'm done speaking. Long story short, before Neon and I could get our quirks checked, I was kidnapped by henchmen working for a mad scientist under a powerful villain. They beat me, cut me open, and rebuilt me with cybernetic augmentations, including a reactor core. That's why you hear whirring when I move. They also kept infusing me with who knows what quirks or power, which forcibly turned my body into an Orphanake being who is no longer fully human. I slowly but carefully created a weakness in a wall in my jail cell, which allowed me to escape with another scientist who was forced to operate on me, and after a brutal battle, All Might and other top heroes rescued us. I've tried to reconnect with my family, but those years left scars. It's thanks to those events that I don't have dreams of my own anymore. However, I do want to protect other people and their dreams with these powers of mine." He seriously said, clutching his hand while having a pained look on his face. This topic was tough for him to talk about, even after all those years. The room erupted in sobs. The class swarmed Izuku, enveloping him in a group hug that conveyed their support and sorrow. Even the stoic Shoko shed tears, surprised that someone survived being hurt in a manner far worse, while Katsuki was absolutely stunned into silence. He did no part of Izuku's story, but now, getting to know the truth himself, he didn't have any method of responding back. Izuku smiled softly, lifting her hand and pressing a gentlemanly kiss to it. "I believe you. Just keep living for everyone, okay?" His breezy confidence stunned the boys and left the girls blushing, though Neon rolled her eyes at her brother's theatrics. A bandaged Shota Aizawa, looking like a mummy, interrupted the moment, startling the class. "That was a long introduction, Yagi. Your seeing hound dog regular LYNO arguments will be accepted." Which were terms that Izuku willingly accepted. "Sir, you should be resting." Tenya protested, concern etched on his face, wishing that his homeroom teacher wasn't in extreme pain. Thankful of his students' concern, he did ignore that request because he had an announcement to make, which is something he doesn't personally agree with. "We have bigger matters to discuss. First, UA is considering a dormitory system in response to the USJ attack. A poll will be sent to you and your parents to determine the timeline. Fill it out promptly. Second, the UA Sports Festival will proceed as planned. It's a chance to prove our resilience, showcase your skills, and attract scouts from hero agencies. Some faculty, including myself, opposed this, but we were overruled by certain parties." His tone carried a bitter edge, hinting at external pressures. The class nodded, absorbing the gravity of his words. Most headed to their mandatory counseling sessions, where Hound Dog's playful yet insightful approach helped them process their emotions. He meticulously noted their responses for Nizu's analysis, ensuring no detail was overlooked. Cafeteria, UA. The counseling sessions led the students to UA's bustling cafeteria, where the aroma of Lunch Rush's culinary masterpieces filled the air. The food heroes' dishes were a balm for the soul, and the students eagerly filled their plates. Izuku, seeking solitude, took his tray to a quiet corner. His classmates respected his need for space, understanding the weight of his earlier confession. However, their peace was short-lived. A lanky figure with messy purple hair and eye bags rivaling Aizawa's approached, flanked by students from general studies and other departments. "So, you're the second villain attack survivors of Class 1A, he said, his voice dripping with challenge. "Your teachers probably didn't tell you this, but the sports festival is our chance to take your spots. If we impress the right people, we can replace you. Consider this a declaration of war." Katsuki's eyes blazed. "You've got a lot of nerve, Insomniac. Hope you don't trip trying to take us on." His fiery retort rallied the class, even those who usually clashed with him. Their united front dispersed the crowd, though a few stragglers from Class 1B lingered, their gazes sharp with rivalry. Development Studio, U. While they were not having a visit to the studio as per their timetable, the group of Neon, Katsuki, Ochako, Tenya, Momo, Toru and a few more had come to visit here, wanting to see if their updated suits were ready for use, since they were told that will be changes done to them. One very loudly explosion collision ripped apart the doors of this very studio, and upon the clearing of the heavy smoke, one very odd scene definitely confused the hell out of them all. Katsuki was on the floor, and on top of him was a pink-haired, yellow-eyed tank top-wearing girl, and what surprised them all was the casual indifference. They simply got up, and Katsuki definitely noticed all those prying eyes. He won't explain, let them figure it out themselves, was what he decided to go through with. There is my stupid younger brother. How are all of you doing? I see that you've come for the new costumes, hopefully they are good for you all, were the words delivered by Tsukuyumi Bakugo, having arrived for the first time in a while. Some changes me and may have made include, my brother gets portable bombs that he can use by using his explosive sweat, an invisibility and light refracting costume for Toru, her new and improved less revealing but still useful costume for Momo, made from your hair so that you don't need that much of exposure now. Ochako gets an inbuilt stabilizing filter that allows Ochako to not get sick for a longer while. While I do want to list out all of our achievements, you and everyone here do want to go home, so the further details can be read in this manuals. Enjoy using them, both Mei and Tsukuyumi say, proud of their achievements, which made all the class members to ask about the two if they could be friends. And with that, a waiting Izuku took Neon home with the help of his slightly touched upon auto-vagin. Izuku likes to act like a motorcycle mechanic, and he took to taking care of his bike ever since he and David Shield escaped from Dr. Garaki's clutches. At Takoba Municipal Beach. And that's how the day came to an end, or it would have if Izuku and Neon were told to meet their dad at a certain beach. It seems that he wanted to meet up and discuss something important. Upon arriving, the scene sure did look cute smiling face with hearts. Both him and their mom were waiting. A cute picnic blanket and large plates of food were waiting for them. We did want to enjoy your efforts of cleaning this beach. And to give you and your sister some advice about your upcoming festival challenges. Inko explained, wanting both of the sibling duo to sit down, to which they obliged. This is your chance to show the world that you are here. Along with the fact that the villain group who attacked you will definitely be watching out for your weakness. While I cannot tell you all the things that you will face, but remember to remain calm and watch out for any traps of a large variety, both verbal and physical. I did wish that the festival would not be occurring. This idea was unfortunately overruled. Sometimes I do wonder if part of my crusade against All for One and his villainy did end up doing more harm than good. Toshinori explained and sighed as well, staring at the large orange sun that was slowly but surely starting to set, making an exquisite tapestry of colors in the sky. Everything has its good and bad sides, Dad. I wouldn't be here with you all unless everyone were willing to coordinate and resource me and Mr. Shield. For now, me and Neon will try our best to make you proud, Izuku said, before Neon added in that he told everyone about himself. That led to an impromptu hug session, which everyone enjoyed. They did want to talk more, but decided to simply to eat, play around in the sand before Izuku and his sister were led to the pickup truck, owned by Toshinori, as he put them at the back in a comfortable manner while they drove back home. Honestly, every day I see them changing so fast. And after the events that have occurred, how do I keep my world safe, Inko? He asked his wife. These thoughts have been circling in his mind before his fingers get interlaced with Inko, her eyes having love but a hint of steel in them as well. While I expect you and many of the other heroes and other such people to protect these young minds, I know that things won't go as planned, Toshi. Those bad people are figuring something out and all of us are in the firing line. While I'm not an expert in such fields, what I can suggest is maybe try one point. I'm sure that there must be some leakage in information regarding that current group. Check those channels out, or I can utilize mine if you want me to. Inko replied, her previous ventures before having Izuku and Neon were something spectacular. Maybe we can do that. Now, no more talks. Enjoy this music and the nice views. It's a moment of rest after all. Toshinori chose to say as they then drove back home, having taken some time to rest and recharge before the big event. The sports festival is nearby, dear readers. You've seen a few iterations of it in the multiverse, but maybe this time, things will be different. Hope you will be there for the next battles that our Kamen Rider and his friends shall face.